Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Baker. I'm the Divisional Director for Pay and Benefits, and I'd like to welcome you to our second session of Financial Management. And today is going to be exciting, exhilarating, and the information that you receive will greatly heighten your curiosity about your financial planning for the future. Sit back, take the ride, enjoy, ask questions. At any time, the presenter, who will be introduced by Ms. Andrea Curtis, will be willing to take all your questions. And at the end of the session, please, if you want to talk with the presenter, stay and talk with him. He's more than glad to assist you. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce your hostess for today, Ms. Andrea Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mr. Baker said prior, my name is Andrea Curtis, and I'm with the Division of Pay and Benefits under the Human Capital Management Group. Before we get started with our presentation today, I want to go over a few administrative items. For those that are audio conferencing, please place your phones on mute to assist us with controlling the noise and the feedback during the presentation. We ask that you please wait to ask any questions for our presenter. For those participating via VTC or audio conferencing, your questions will be facilitated by our moderator, our phone moderator. So we ask that, again, you will please hold your questions until after the presentation or when our presenter then fields for them. To capture the attendees today, we ask that if you have not done so, at the conclusion of the presentation that you sign in at the desk outside of the auditorium. For those that are participating in VTC or audio conferencing, we ask that you please email our HR Center Help Desk to confirm your participation. That email address is hrcenterhelpdesk@cms.hhs.gov. We also ask that you please complete the survey that you were provided with upon conclusion of the presentation. You can turn it in to any of these specialists that are waiting in the lobby. For those that are participating via VTC or audio conferencing, you can send in your survey via email to the HR Center Help Desk as well. I thank you in advance, for your assistance and your participation regarding these administrative items. Next, I'll be introducing our presenter. Mr. David Walter is a Senior Vice President and Financial Planner with RBC Wealth Management and has taught courses in pre- and post-retirement planning for 34 years. He has taught courses at Towson University, Howard Community College, UMBC, Montgomery College, and Anne Arundel Community College. He currently provides lectures on retirement planning for NSA, CMS, CIA, Social Security, and Verizon Corporation. He has 34 years experience in financial planning and investment management. His clientele is from all walks of life, both corporate and federal employees. He is well-versed in CSRS, FERS, and TSP information. David is a dynamic, knowledgeable, and experienced speaker to all audiences, which have ranged from as small as 10 to as large as 800 attendees. He makes the difficult task of planning for your retirement and post-retirement an entertaining experience by engaging the audience with humor, direct, honest, no-nonsense, common sense advice. Please welcome Mr. David Walter.
Everybody hear me? Now I'm on. Thank you for that introduction. Hopefully you're clapping at the end as well. Let me give you a background on me so you know something about me and where I'm coming from. I grew up in Burtonsville. Do you all know where Burtonsville, Maryland is? Yes, no? Down Route 29. My parents bought a home there in 61, retired in 2001, and then they moved to Hanover. You'll see why my parents are a little bit important. I married my junior high sweetheart, Patty, who is a RN at Howard County General Hospital, and her specialty is oncology. Everybody knows what that is, correct? You don't want to end up on her unit. We have great discussions at our kitchen table because I've been doing this, as she mentioned, for 34 years, and I'll probably leave some of you a little bit black and blue today. I might touch some nerves, might leave you a little raw and exposed. That's okay. You want this information and you need it. But Patty and I have great discussions because I'm a huge believer in pay yourself first, and Patty sees a whole different side of life from folks, obviously, as you know, coming in with cancer. So it's a great happy medium that we reach at our house about putting money away and enjoying life. Sometimes I see from my side of the desk horror stories, and I might impart some of them to you today. I will curl most of your hair in here. Even if you don't have hair, I could curl it with some of the stories that I've heard on the other side of the desk in my office. I have 3 boys, so you know. I have David, who's 32, I have Brian, who's 29, and Michael, who's 27. So I'm a little bit older than some of you might guess. The baby face is wonderful. I'm a big believer in paying myself first. At RBC, where I work, we have no pension plan. Every one of you in this room has a leg up on me. You have a pension plan. I have nothing in terms of any defined benefit plan. Patty at Howard County General Hospital has no defined benefit plan as well. So you'll see why I may leave you a little bit black and blue and a little bruised today about putting money away. I am a terrier dog on paying yourself first, which I find an awful lot of folks will not do. Assisting me today is Ryan, and Ryan is part of my team. There's 3 of us. I have a gentleman in our D.C. office, Lauren. You have handouts that shows where all our offices are. Lauren has been in the business 6 months shorter than myself, and then Ryan's been with us for 12 years, and he knows more about computers than Lauren and myself combined. So it's nice to have a younger member of the team who provides so much insight and information as well. Okay, and he's yokel as well. He grew up in Clarksville, Maryland, if you all know where that is. Let me tell you about philosophy so you know something about me. Philosophy, KISS, keep it simple, sweetheart. Use common sense, you'll make money. Okay. Also, I think the day you leave here, Elvis has left the building. Hasta la vista, I'm not coming back. I think you should be debt-free. Did everybody hear what I said? I think you shouldn't owe a nickel to anyone. I paid off my house April of 1999. I have no mortgage. We're going to discuss that a little bit today because it's a great source of argument or discussion about the merits of having a mortgage or not having a mortgage. I'm going to caveat it and tell you, in regards to having a mortgage or no mortgage, if you plan to stay in the house you're in now for the rest of your life, you ain't a-moving. Pay it off as fast as you can. Hopefully, to coincide with the day you leave here. Ryan and I do retirement plans every single day. We can do them in our sleep. We run numbers constantly for folks such as yourselves as to, am I going to have enough money to retire on? I never, in 34 plus years, have had anybody come in my office and say to me, can you calculate how much debt we can carry into retirement? I never have that question. It's absolutely amazing. The question is usually, I have this lump sum, and I need to know what you can get me with that lump sum of money. And I'll warn you now, wrong question. The question should be, is my money going to last me, or is our money going to last us the rest of our lives? I cannot believe how many people ask, how much can you get me? So my answer quickly is, if I give you the highest number, do I get the account? It's not the question you should be asking. As a matter of fact, there's two questions you should be asking yourselves now. Number one is, where is my money in light of what happened in 08, 09? Where's my money now? Where's it invested? And some of you are immediately going to your TSP allocations. We're going to talk about TSP. Okay? So where's my money now? Where should it be? In light of what happened in 08, 09, I think most of us have taken a while to recover. There are a bunch of folks who ran to the G fund, never to go back to the CS or I ever again. And those accounts have doubled in that time. So we'll talk about risk as well. So first question is, where's my money now? Where should it be? Second question, is our money or my money going to last me the rest of my life? That's bottom line paramount. As we go along, if you have questions, stop and ask me here. This is your seminar, it's not mine. I can come in here and talk about whatever I want. I will impart to you today that retirement is the brass ring. I don't care what anybody says to me. That's why we're working. That's what it's all about. So retirement is the brass ring. That's why we come to work every day. And as an example, illustrative purposes only. Did everybody hear what I said? For illustrative purposes only. I retired 6 months ago. I'm walking down to my mailbox. OPM has finally trued me up. I'm looking very forward to my first retirement check. Lo and behold, I know about direct deposit. It's for illustrative purposes only. In my mailbox on a particular Friday is my first retirement paycheck. I'm quite excited. See, I've been playing golf, doing whatever I gosh darn want to do up to this point. As I'm walking back up the driveway with my first retirement check, I stop dead in the tracks about halfway up the driveway. You see, there's a problem with this check. It's nowhere near what my old paycheck was. So I rush into the house. Patty stops me and says, "What's wrong?" I'm rushing to the phone to call Mr. Baker or Diane and say to them, somebody's made a huge mistake with this check. So as I get on the phone to them, they say to me, "What's wrong?" And I say, "It's nowhere near what it used to be." So they happen to say to me, "Did you attend our pre-retirement seminar?" And I tell them I'm a dedicated federal employee. I never left my cubicle. Now, you all know that's not true. I've seen your hallways. Secondly, they ask me, "What did you do with the retirement handbook or employee handbook we gave you the day we hired you?" Which is going on right now next door with new employee orientation. What'd you do with the handbook? I am too embarrassed to tell Anthony or Diane that I've long since jettisoned it. I can't find it. It's buried in boxes due to moves, or it's on a bookshelf gathering dust. I don't know what happened to it. Had I bothered to attend the pre-retirement seminar or read the handbook, I would know what this check was going to be in retirement. So I'm going to tell all of you now, you need to know your number before you walk out of this building. And shame on you if you walk out and you don't know. So everybody ready? How many of you in here are SIRS, CSRSers? How many SIRS do I have? You should raise your hands big and tall. Not very many SIRS? Congratulations to those of you that are SIRS. You have the second best pension plan in the world. The only one better is Congress's, self-serving. You can walk out of here at age 55, 30 years of service with 56.25% of your high 3 earning years. You should know that number, 56.25 of your high 3. For my FERS employees, balance of you FERS, yes or no? Okay, kudos. At least you have a pension plan. Remember, I don't have one, nor does Patty, so kudos. Your numbers are, okay, if you retire before 62, 0.01 times your high 3 times your years of service. That's your formula. You should know it. 0.01 times your high 3 average salary times your years of service. If I retire after age 62, it gets a smidge better. It's 0.11 times your high 3 times your years of service. If you'd like to know as FERS employees what that averages out, it's somewhere between 30 to 40% of your high 3. Is it as generous as SIRS? No, it's not. Is it still a pension plan? Yes. It's better than what? Absolutely nothing. And yet it's interesting. There was a Baltimore Sun article recently, back in April, that pointed out I'm going to read from it a little bit. Trouble is, most people don't know where they stand on their timeline of retirement. Fewer than 1/3 of Americans age 40 to 59, part of the baby boomer age group, have a written financial plan. People are saving blindly and have no sense of how they're doing or where they're trying to get to. I want to get from A to B, Dave, but I don't even know my numbers. 1/3 of respondents to a survey say they will stay on the job until they're age 80. Now, can I ask you all a question? Is that the financial plan you want? I'm just going to work, Dave, until I'm 80? That is absolutely ludicrous, which is why you need a plan. There's a Economics Benefits Research Institute every year does a survey of folks such as us. 10% plan to retire between 66 and 69. 26% are going to work to age 80. 26% of the respondents said we're going to work to age 80. 47% of those folks still working had to leave the workforce unexpectedly due to one reason in general. Anybody know what that reason is? Health. My wife's in the business. So 47% of the folks who had no plans to retire were suddenly forced to retire. You better have your ducks in a row before you walk out these doors. And if you're debt-free, hot diggity dog, the average baby boomer in the survey, so you can think of your TSP, don't yell out numbers, has $127,000 in retirement savings. That's folks born between 1945 and 64. Generation X, 65 and 78. They have a retirement savings balance now of $70,000. The millennials, my kids, anybody born after 78, their average balance in the retirement accounts, $32,000. I don't know about you folks, we're in deep kimchi. Absolutely amazing. As I said, I could curl your hair on the stories I hear in my office. So I'm going to tell you now, put away as much as you can. You will never cuss me for how much money you have in your accounts. I never have anybody come in and say this to me. Damn you, I have too much money. I am really pissed at you, Dave, for how much money I have in my accounts. In 34 years, I've never had that. Most people come in our office and say, can you run our numbers to make sure I'm going to have enough? So Ryan and I constantly do these type of projections where folks come in and we'll run, and you may not like the answer, but at least you'll know it. Sometimes folks come in and they go, oh my gosh. But I'll show you what it looks like. It's real simple. It's a compilation of where your assets are now in conjunction with how much you're saving. And bottom line, is your money going to last long enough for life expectancy? And by the way, we're living longer today. We fooled them, which is why Uncle Sam introduced FERS and stopped the SERS program, as you all know, because we're what? We're living longer. We fooled him. So Uncle Sam said, I can't share that burden. I need more help. Hence the Federal Employees Retirement System. So I'm going to warn you now, put away as much as you can. The day you retire, the bigger the checks walking in the door, the better. The more checks walking in the door, the better. Have any of you ever seen the bumper sticker, the one with the most toys wins? Anybody ever seen that bumper sticker on the back of a car? I've seen it. One time I was out with Patty and we saw it on the back of a car, and I said to Patty, bumper sticker's all wrong. She said, what do you mean? I said, that bumper sticker should say the one with the most money wins. Now, she stopped me immediately and said, wait a minute, that's very crass and sounds very materialistic. And I said to Patty, it's not about crass, it's not about being materialistic. What it means in English is, the day I retire, if I want to work, it's because I what? I want to. If I desire to work, it's because I what? I desire to, correct? It's not a have to. I live near Clarksville, Maryland. We're legal now. We have a Giant Food. We used to have a Blockbuster, gone. We have a McDonald's. Invariably, if I took David, Brian, and Michael there when they were younger to have lunch at the McDonald's, there was always a senior citizen in there, either wiping tables, mopping the floor, or waiting on us. My contention is that person's there because they what? They have to be. I'll give you this much that they're there because they want to be. So my greatest wish for all of you before you leave this building is that you don't end up having to learn this line. Would you like fries with that order? Would you like me to biggie size your order? Or better yet, welcome to Walmart. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Patty beat me up and said, what's wrong with that? Nothing, as long as it's F-U-N in the biggest capital letters you've ever seen. I have no problem with working at Mickey D's, Burger King, or working at Walmart, as long as it's fun. Yes or no? Everybody agree? It's all about fun. So I can't implore you enough before you leave here to have your ducks in a row, know your number in retirement before you walk out this door. The more checks walking in the door, the bigger, the better. And as a service employee, you know your number, because we'll tell you from our side of the desk, Ryan and I will preach to you that you'll need anywhere from 65 to 80% of your last year's income when you leave here. Did everybody hear what I said? So let's make it easy. If my income is $100,000 the day I leave here, T. Rowe Price, Vanguard, Fidelity, Ryan, and Dave are telling you you'll need anywhere from $65,000 to $80,000 walking in the door. Now, if you stop and think about it a minute, as a gal over at Social Security said to me, Dave, you're telling us we'll need 65 to 80%. Yes, ma'am, I am. You know what she said to me? What's wrong with 100%? What's wrong with 100% replacement income? You know what I said to her? I'm with you. Because if you stop and think about what I just said, you're asking me to run a calculation with Ryan in our office of how much income can we live on in retirement? How little can we get away with? In conjunction with how much debt can we carry? Really? Wrong. So the more checks walking in the door, the better. The bigger the checks, the better. Because you can argue with me, Dave, home's paid for, whatever works at your house. Everybody's circumstances are different. But I'm going to tell you now, there's only 3 sources of income in retirement. Your pension. As I said, all of you have it. Social Security. The FERS employees in here are eligible. The average Social Security check today is $1,300 a month or $15,600 a year. For my FERS employees sitting here today, if I said your pension is gone, your only source of income is Social Security, how many of you could retire on $15,600? Any show of hands? So what was originally designed to be a supplement for some folks is the main staple. Yes or no? Think about your parents' circumstances. So if I don't hit you hard enough today, think about how your parents' circumstances are financially. For some of you, it's, I don't want to end up like that. I've had that many a time in my office. Third source is your savings, wherever you manage to stockpile money. So it's pension, Social Security, your savings. We're going to talk about TSP and IRAs. Great places to put money away. And you have a fourth alternative. I have to be Vanna White sometimes in my office. I have her dress. I have to put it on. We have to play Wheel of Fortune. Believe it or not, yes. And I have to tell some folks, blank O-R-K or blank O-B. You all know what letters go there, and you don't have to buy a vowel. What are they? Work or get a job. So you don't want the circumstances where we run your numbers and we have to tell you that. So I can't implore you enough. Sit down with someone like Ryan or me or somebody else. Have your retirement projection run before you walk out the door. Don't be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and ignore it. It's absolutely amazing how many folks don't know. Am I making sense? Yes or no? Questions? Yes, no? Okay. 4 sources. Now, sometimes when Ryan and I run the numbers, after running them, we may tell you one of 3 things in my office. So now I get to be Monty Hall. Do you all remember the show, Let's Make a Deal? Yes or no? Everybody remember that? Ah, okay, I'm dating myself a little bit. All right. Sometimes when we run the numbers, I have to tell you that there's door number 1. And door number 1 is you need to save more money. You can't believe what I hear in my office. We can't do that, Dave. I can't do that, Dave. We make, or I don't make enough to pay all the bills. Or we make enough just to pay the bills. and you'd be absolutely amazed. I'll do it now. I do it all the time to the folks who tell me they can't save more money. Do you all have a cafeteria here, yes or no? What's lunch run? $2, $3? $6? $6? $8? You tell me $8 for lunch? So that's $40 a week. I'm a dedicated federal employee. I work 52 weeks. I don't even take vacation. So I've spent $2,080 just on lunch, yes or no? I'm pretty quick at math. So I've spent $2,080 on lunch. You'd be amazed how many folks come in our office and tell us they can't save more money. I'm not here today to beat you up about budgeting, but I would urge all of you to write down for a month on a yellow legal pad where you spend your money. You would be amazed, most likely. I've had two teachers, a principal and a teacher come in, no children. They were spending $800 a month eating out meals. They had no clue. So it won't do anything for me. It's all for your benefit. You might be shocked where money's spent. Okay? Secondly, after save more money, work longer. Not a very popular option. Folks hate it. I always hear this in the office. Dave, do you realize I've had it up to here with this place? I can't stand where I'm working. I just want to give them this sign and leave. But I'm telling you now, that, as the article pointed out, is a very viable option for a lot of folks where they're going to have to stay longer. By the way, if anybody in here sirs, you can get to our 80% number. 41 years and 11 months gets you to 80%, so you can't baloney me. I know. 41 years and 11 months gets you 80% of your high 3. If I'm a FERS employee, you can work longer and get a higher percentage. Why? Because hopefully your salary is going up. If your salary isn't going up, then the man's trying to tell you something. Okay? Third choice, don't retire, die at your desk. A very popular choice. Has it happened here, yes or no? Has the ambulance pulled up out front to cart somebody away? Oh, I bet. I haven't been to any organization where that hasn't happened. Your fourth alternative is prayer. You can pray. Pray what? Everybody ready? And I know it's still occurring because I lecture at National Security Agency and it's still going on over there. Every now and then, Uncle Sam offers an early out. I know it's none of you in here. It's them out there. Some folks come to work just for the rumor mill. There's going to be an early out. There's going to be an early out. There's going to be an early out. 25 grand, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. By the way, if that were to ever appear, it is $16,000 net after tax. Okay? So it's not what you think it is. Okay? So, all of a sudden an early out appears. For example, only I'm giving you. Early out appears. I have my ducks in a row financially. I'm ready to retire. I go to Anthony and I tell him I'm leaving. Now, Anthony is shocked when I give him my 2 weeks' notice because, see, I'm one of Anthony's better workers. Management's attempt in a downsizing is to always get rid of dead wood. Always. The problem is dead wood never leaves. Dead wood is very adept at hiding. Do you all know? Do you have flex time here, yes or no? Can I come in at 6? Can I give you a dead wood day? I know it's none of you. I get in here at 6, and I go to breakfast. Oh, there's where I spend a little bit more money, and I'm waiting for Anthony to show up. As soon as Anthony shows up, we shoot the breeze for a little bit. I go back to my office. I shuffle a little bit of paper. Before you know it, it's time for my morning what? Smoke break. 10, 15 minutes outside to smoke. Next thing is, it's lunchtime. I meet Anthony for lunch, shoot the breeze for an hour, go back to my desk, shuffle a little bit less paperwork, because it's time for my afternoon smoke break. Before you know it, it's 2:30. It's time to go home. I get home and Patty says, "How was your day?" I say, "Oh, tough day, tough day." Somebody has to do it. Now, that's an example of a dead wood day. I know it's none of you in here. It's them out there who aren't here today. But management's attempt in a downsizing is to always get rid of dead wood. I'll tell you all a secret. Dead wood will never, ever leave. They're very adept at hiding. Very, very adept at hiding. So I can't implore you enough. Put away as much as you can, please. And prayer, here we go. I'm telling Anthony, as I said to you, I'm retiring. I'm ready to leave. Unbeknownst to him, as I said, he didn't want me to leave. I'm leaving. About 3 months later, I get a phone call at my house. I can't see Anthony. He's in his office. He has blinds. But Anthony is on his knees in his office calling me at home, asking me to do him a favor. So he calls me up and he says, Dave, how's retirement going? And I say, real good, Anthony. I'm doing whatever I want. I'm having the time of my life. He says, can you do me a favor? I need you to come back and CONSULT or come back and be a CONTRACTOR. Now, you can't tell me it hasn't happened here. Yes or no? Has it happened here? Where folks have come back and consulted or been a contractor? It's occurring. Now, if you don't have your ducks in a row, you haven't put away enough money via your pension, your savings, or Social Security if you're eligible, isn't going to cut the mustard, then you need to pray for that prayer of where you're called back in to be a consultant or a contractor. That's your answer to prayer. So I can't urge you enough, can't implore you enough, get your financial ducks in a row. You should have a handout with a tax bracket chart. Everybody have it? Yes, no? All right, I want to dispel a myth that is very much perpetuated, especially in retirement. And the myth is as follows. The day you retire, you want to be in the lowest tax bracket possible. I'm going to dispel that myth. If you check the book out in the library that tells you that, it's dead wrong. Okay? Don't take the book back, burn it. Dead wrong. I want to illustrate it now. You all know I'm married, so let's pick on me. Let's go down to the bottom half of the page. I'm retiring, and I want to be in the lowest bracket. I'm moving to Florida with Patty because Mama didn't raise me to be stupid. It's one of 7 states with no state and local income tax. This is for illustrative purposes only. We're down here in Florida. We've arrived now. We've made it. And just so you all know, I'm in the lowest tax bracket possible. So I need you all to tell me what's our income in retirement down here in Florida. How much are we bringing in per year? We're in the lowest bracket. It's not a trick question. How much income's walking in the door? How much? Less than 18,000. Everybody see that? It's not a trick question. So somewhere between $0 and $18,150 is our income in retirement. Can I ask you all a question? Do you think we're doing a lot of entertainment or fun things? Yes or no? Gosh help us if the car dies. Yes or no? If the car dies, are we in trouble? Absolutely. Conversely, we're down here in Florida. Let me illustrate. Our income, we're in the highest tax bracket possible. So our income is, hint, hint, last line on the page. How much is our income in retirement then? At least how much? $457,600. Now, I don't know about you folks, I'm not a happy camper. Why? Our federal taxes are $127,962.50. Do you know that's more than some people make? So I'm not a happy camper to have to write that federal check. But can I ask you all a question? And I do this survey wherever I go. Is approximately $330,000 after tax more than $16,000 and change by being in the lowest bracket? Yes or no? So, my point is, I'm not telling you today that you can't leave here unless you're in the highest bracket, but what I am telling you is as follows. Is $18,150 to $73,800 more than 0 to $18,150? Yes or no? No question. Is $73,800 to $148,850 better than the previous 2 brackets? Yes or no? So please, if anybody tells you sitting next to you, and I know you all sit next to financial gurus, I know that. Everybody who wants to tell you what to do with your TSP, never theirs. Okay? And if they talk to you about your goal should be to be in the lowest tax bracket the day you retire, they're wrong. You want to be in the largest tax bracket possible. It means you have a lot of money coming in the door. So again, more checks, bigger the better. And there's a famous line. Did anybody see the movie Rain Man? Anybody see the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise? If you recall that movie, Dustin Hoffman kept repeating as an autistic individual, Judge Wapner at 4 o'clock, Judge Wapner at 4 o'clock, Judge Wapner at 4 o'clock. Do you know I have retirees come in my office who have a line that they say all the time, so they remind me of Dustin Hoffman, and their line is as follows. Car costs more than my first home. Car costs more than my first home. Car costs more than my first home. Why? Because at some point after you retire, you may have to replace one more vehicle or two, or in your 65 to 95, which is life expectancy today, you may have to replace two vehicles during that lifetime. And many of us are going to be in for shock when we find out how much that vehicle costs. Yes or no? I mean, today, if you want a steering wheel, 4 doors, and mirrors, $30,000+. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So do me a favor. Put away as much as you can. And you cannot believe how many folks come in our office and live on if-come. If the kids didn't need braces, if the refrigerator didn't die, if the car transmission didn't go, if we didn't need a new HVAC. So you cannot believe how many times we hear all about if-come. So do me a favor. Put away as much as you can. Pay yourselves first. You will not cuss me. Trust me. Ryan, what do you have next? After tax bracket? Debt. All right, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on debt. And by the way, it's an area that you want me to spend zero time on. You don't like it when I talk about debt. And it may not be any of you sitting here, but I know it's out there for sure. And there's a great investment publication that came out years ago in dealing with debt. It's Parade Magazine. Anybody ever heard of Parade Magazine? And at the time when this issue appeared on a Sunday, it had 4 individuals pictured that Ryan has. I don't know about you folks, I would have been embarrassed to have my picture put up here. Absolutely embarrassed. See, Mary Black of Shawnee, Oklahoma has 43 credit cards. Can you imagine having your picture on the cover of Parade Magazine, bragging about you have 43 credit cards? Brian Bruth, over on the right-hand side. She was a credit card baby. See, when she was born, he paid the hospital bill with a credit card. Can you imagine if he hasn't paid the credit card off today? Are kids expensive, yes or no? Oh, yes. Absolutely expensive. Down in your bottom left-hand corner, you have Aisha Black of New York, New York. $7,000 in debt by the age of 21. Have you all been reading in the papers of recent about how much student loan debt there is? Absolutely phenomenal. And if you go to any college, there's these cork boards with credit card offers stapled to cork boards for the kids to get. So they don't and have not been taught about the wherewithal of money. The smartest gal on this cover is Sue Hole of Helena, Montana, down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Why? She paid interest once in 35 years. Dollars to donuts. She went on vacation and she forgot to write the check to the credit card company or pay them. And yet what's interesting, listen to this definition of a credit card. A means for buying something you don't need at a price you can't afford with money you don't have. Do I need to read it again? Yes or no? See, it doesn't matter to me how many credit cards you have. You need to have one rule at your house. When the bill comes in, it needs to be paid in what? If at all possible, pay it off. There isn't one of you in this room who will let me manage your thrift savings plan money where you will pay me anywhere from 9% to 18%. You would call me a thief. What do you mean you're going to charge me 9 to 18% a year? I've been here now for about an hour, 45 minutes. You now know me. I'm very nice. I even brought my checkbook today. I'll pay off your credit card debt. And I tell Patty whenever I go lecture that I have a yellow legal pad. I need you to sign up today. I'll pay your credit card bill off in full today. What I need from you is the following. I need an agreement for you to pay me a check every month, and I'm only going to charge you 9% interest. And you can't pay me off early. See, what I'm looking for is to increase cash flow in our retirement years. So I want to be able to go home today and tell Patty that I had more people sign up, more dummies sign up to provide us cash flow in retirement. Everybody getting my drift? Yes or no? And if you stop and think about it, you don't want to turn 55, 60, or 65 years of age and have more financial obligations than options available to you. And yet you cannot believe what we see in the office. I've had a record setter come in my office in credit card debt. $208,000 in credit card debt in my office. I had to tell their daughter, who's my client, I'm not a credit counselor. I can't help them. By the way, just to give you background, her parents live in Riva, Maryland. Do you all know where Riva, Maryland is? Near Annapolis? Live in Annapolis. They have a home on the water, but there's a problem. The house is worth $1 million. They owe $1.1 million in a first and second mortgage. So not only are they on the water, they're underwater. You name the credit card, they have it. Chase, Discover, Bank of America, USB, AT&T, Apple, Discover, Chase, Sam's, Kohl's, Penny's, QVC, Nordstrom, Value City, Macy's, Lord & Taylor, Sears, Home Depot. You name it, they have it. The cheapest charge on here was 3.9, the highest 23.40% on their credit cards. The only reason they agreed to talk to me, and as I told their daughter I'm not a credit counselor, was their minimum payment is $4,359 a month. It's more than their pensions. By the way, these folks are in their 60s. She's a retired school teacher. He just retired. And they were worried to death about how they were going to make the minimum payment. It's absolutely mind-boggling what I see in the office. Retirement. Last May, 2 folks come in. She's an SESer. You all know what an SESer is, correct? Senior Executive Service. You know what kind of money she makes. $170-some thousand plus. He's a school teacher in Montgomery County. Makes $90,000. By the way, they want to retire. She's 55. He's 55. So we're looking at numbers. Her pension will be $100,000. She's civil service. Hot diggity dog. Is that a nice pension? Yes or no? That's a darn nice pension. His pension as a school teacher will be $50,000 a year. I don't know about you folks, that's nice income. That's over $12,000 a month gross walking in the door. They want to move to Purcellville, Virginia, wherever that is, to be closer to a daughter who has 2 children, i.e. grandchildren. By the way, let's look at their debt. They live in Olney, Maryland. Everybody know where Olney is? Okay. My guess is it's a cul-de-sac. I don't know. And my guess is, we're neighbors of theirs for a moment, and my guess is there's 2 new cars sitting in the driveway. By the way, they belong to Manor Country Club, this is true, where he plays golf, and they go there for dinners a lot. So you and I are neighbors thinking, boy, they're rich. 2 new cars in the driveway. They have a timeshare in Florida. They go at least twice a year to Florida. So you know, we're thinking as neighbors, boy, they're rich. Now, you ready for the credit picture? $60,000 is owed on credit cards. Anywhere from 16 to 27%. $180,000 was owed on Parent Plus loans. Does everybody know what Parent Plus loans are? Loans that parents take out for college tuition. $180,000. Cheapest rate, 8.25%. Mortgage balance on their home in Olney, $700,000 was the mortgage balance. They had $940,000 in debt. And she started crying in the office when I told her she couldn't retire. She needed to work longer. You tell me. Please don't let that be your story. Absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you another secret about credit cards. I have a friend of mine, Steve and Linda Sue. Steve's dad died, so he received money the wrong way. It was an inheritance. He wasn't looking for it, but his father passed. Had this lump sum of money. Dave, I want to come in and have you run retirement numbers, and I want to put this money away for retirement. No problem. I don't see Steve and Linda Sue for a while. One Sunday at church, we go there, and he says, come out and see the red Ford truck I bought, the 150, brand new. By the way, double door, cab cover, brand new spanking truck. Absolutely gorgeous. We get in the car, and I said to Patty, I wonder what happened to Steve coming in to put money away for retirement. A little while later, believe it or not, has an addition put on the house. Again says, can you come over and look at the addition? Went over. Absolutely beautiful addition. Whoever did the craftsmanship, absolutely gorgeous. Great. Get in the car again, repeated. I'm a glutton for punishment. I said to Patty, wonder what happened to Steve and Linda Sue coming in to talk about their retirement. and investing some of that money. And Patty said to me, which I hadn't stopped to think about, you can't see a 401k. You can't see a checking account. You can't see a savings account. You can see the red Dodge or red Ford truck, double-doored cab covered truck, and you can see the addition. Yes or no? So I'm going to tell you all now, it ain't about the show. It's absolutely amazing how many folks are in debt. Look at cable television bills, right, or cable bills in general. $150 and up, yes or no? Some folks are spending $250. Cell phone bills, yes or no? Can you hear me now? Yes or no? Can you hear me now? Remember that line? Holy macaroni. Talk about debt. And you have folks come in who tell you they can't save 2 nickels. Over at Social Security where I lecture, there's a black BMW parked on an angle in the parking lot all the way in the back. It's a 750 IL. The car's worth about $98,000. I would bet all of you in this room, dollars to donuts, that gentleman's driving his net worth. Do you all understand what I mean by that? That he has nothing in the TSP, doesn't have any savings. You cannot believe how bad folks' circumstances are. I just had a gentleman who worked for Smithsonian Institution. Everybody know who it is? $144,000 a year. Wife works for Anne Arundel Community College, making $75,000. That's not bad money combined, is it? We're just shy of $220 and change a little. Yes? Ready? December. Somebody told him to come see me so I could run his retirement numbers. Smithsonian's offering an early out. He wants that $25,000. I had to tell him it's $16,000 net after tax. So that was the first surprise. Okay? By the way, a little bit of debt. Tell us about the debt. He had less than $2,000 in his savings account. $8,000 in credit cards, $18,000 on a car, $130,000 in Parent Plus loans, and $160,000 owed on his house. Yet he was so attracted, I think early outs come with a magnet. He wanted that early out so bad he couldn't see straight. He wanted it to retire some of his debt. By the way, he was making $144,000 in retirement. His pension would be $92,000 a year. Do you know if he stayed 6 more years, which was his wife's goal, 6 more years, his pension would be from $92,000 to $24,000 more a year, $116,000 a year, $24,000 more. And yet he was so anxious to get out the door to get that $16,000 net after tax. Absolutely amazing. And so I could tell you horror story after horror story after horror story. Do me a favor. You can have as many credit cards as you want. Hopefully they give you mileage or a rebate. Use them. I found out I'm a bad guy from the credit card issuer's point of view. Why? Because I pay my bill off in full. So I'm not a very good guy. By the way, I'm the person in front of you tonight at the Safeway with a loaf of bread or 2 loaves of bread, and it's $1.17, and you're thinking, and you're in the back of the line, you're trying to get home, and I'm charging the loaf of bread. I know what you're thinking. He doesn't have any money. He has no money. What you don't know is I'm trying to get the mileage or the rebate. So I charge everything I can on that credit card. But the rule is when the bill comes in, it's what? Paid in full. So do me a favor. Pay your credit cards in full, if at all possible. I know blank happens. I've seen the bumper sticker. Begins with an S and ends with a T. I know about that bumper sticker. I know things happen. Just do me a favor. Pay it off as fast as you can. Okay? Questions? Any? No questions? Left you dumbfounded? Okay? All right.
Were you able to help those people? Were you able to give them advice in any of the scenarios that you cited? Were you able to?
All right. Your first name is? Janice. Janice said, Dave, were you able to help any of those folks in the 2 examples you gave? Janice, the last gentleman, I ran his retirement projection where I showed him that he would be generating $92,000 a year gross, not net, and it wasn't going to cover his expenses. So my advice to him, Janice, was do not retire. Stay 6 more years and walk out hand in hand when your wife said she's leaving. She plans to leave, Janice, Anne Arundel Community College in 6 years. By the way, Janice, she had nothing in her 403B plan, which is the same as your TSP. He had $102,000 in his TSP. That's it. So my advice, Janice, to him was to do what? Save more money? No, really it was to work what? Longer. He told me, Janice, he'd had it up to what? Here with the Smithsonian. So he didn't want to leave. The other couple, Janice, the SESer and the school teacher, I told them to do the following. I said, you need to quit funding your TSP, I told her. Stop funding your TSP. And I told him to stop funding his 403B. Yes, they had sizable numbers in each. I said, now what I want you to do is I want you to take a loan out from your TSP and 403B. And I'm usually not big on loans, but it's the cheapest place to borrow money because you're borrowing from who, Janice? Yourself. So it's the cheapest loan in town. If I borrow, Janice, from the TSP, that rate is locked for life at the time the interest rate is announced or published. So it's a very cheap rate. So I said to them, what I want you to do is I want you to go pay the credit cards off. I need you to go get 50, I told her, which is her max loan. And I said to him, go get 10. And I want to kill the credit cards right away. Now, the next thing I want to go after is the Parent Plus loans. So I want you to take your contributions to the TSP and to his 403B, which was $23,000 each. I want that $46,000, Janice, to go to their $180 on the Parent Plus loans. So in about 4 years, Janice, I can kill the Parent Plus loans. With me? Now, Janice, I still have a loan, correct, on my TSP. So meanwhile, Janice, I want them to pay that loan out of their checks in his 403B. Next thing, Janice, I told them I want them to do is pray that real estate appreciates again. So that that home in Alney can appreciate and give them, hopefully, Janice, enough equity when they sell it to buy a place in Purcellville, Virginia. She's looking at about $250,000. They told me, Janice, the home now was worth about $900,000, and they owed $700,000. So they're about $200,000 in equity. So hopefully, Janice, in a bunch of years, and I had to tell her work longer, which is why she started crying. She didn't want to work longer, but hopefully they'll have enough equity to go down to Purcellville, Virginia and pay what? Pay cash for the house. But I said, until we kill the TSP loans, you can't quit. Now, Janice, did I like telling them not to contribute? I would prefer to do both at the same time. But, Janice, I'm trying to get rid of the Parent Plus loans at 8.25%. Was the cheapest loan. And I know all about, Janice, if you're not in the TSP, you're not earning money on the CS&I, you're earning the returns. I know all about that. However, Janice, I am, by virtue of every paycheck, paying that loan back. Paying who back? Me, for a very nominal interest rate. So I can put that money back in to participate. So that was my advice. By the way, Janice, I never heard back from the gentleman from the Smithsonian Institution. I don't know what he ever did. I don't think he liked my answer. I don't think he liked work longer. Never heard back. The other couple were working to do what we said. We took the loans, we're killing the credit card and the Parent Plus loans. We're working on it. And we're praying for real estate values to do what? Go back up. So I can work with you. I'm just not a credit counselor. The other elderly couple in their 60s who begged me to, how can I write their minimum payment? I had to tell them they need to go back to work. Somebody needs to get another job. If you can't pay $4,359 a month as a minimum credit card payment, you're in deep kimchi. And then, Janice, to top it off, which I didn't tell all of you, they have 2 storage lockers in Annapolis, storage units, where they have items in the storage unit with price tags on them still. Did you notice I said one of the loans was QVC? Yes or no? The daughter told me Mom's a shopaholic. So I told Mom she needed to have a yard sale or take those things back and get her money back. So you just would be amazed, folks. I invite any of you to come spend a day with me in my office. At the end of the day, I swear to you, you would turn to me and say, my gosh, Dave, people live like that? And I would tell you, you can't believe what we see in here. It's absolutely mind-boggling. That's why I'm begging you, get your ducks in a row. You will never cuss me for how much money's in your account. And you have 2 advantages here. You can put money in the thrift savings plan. And you know what's absolutely amazing? How many people will not fund it? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to touch a nerve. All of you in this room, I'm assuming, are eligible to fund money in the TSP. I don't know if you're a spouse or not, but I'm assuming all of you can put money in the TSP. By the way, it's $23,000 if you're age 50, and it's not the day you turn 50, which I've had in my office. It's the year in which you turn 50. So if I don't turn 50 until October of 14, I was eligible 1 January to do the $23,000. If I'm not, I can only do 17.5. So I'm going to touch a nerve right now. You have to promise you'll forgive me. Everybody forgive me, because I'm going to make a statement now in regards to your TSP. If you don't fund it to the maximum of your ability, you're dead from the neck up. Did you all hear what I said? You're dead from the neck up. You can't beat the thrift savings plan with a 10-foot pole. If you're FERS, you get a nice 5% match. Are you kidding me? Do I have to gift wrap the gift? 5%. You can't believe how many FERS folks come in and they're not putting anything in. 0. So you have to ask those people, do you always give away money? I have a niece, Melissa, who's a nurse, University of Maryland. Her parents wanted me to do shock therapy. Shock and awe to Melissa. So we're sitting there one Thanksgiving. She's a nurse. I said to her, what do you make, about 60 grand? Yes. How long have you worked for the University of Maryland? Oh, golly, Uncle Dave, 3-4 years. So I said to her, do you always give away money? She's not putting a nickel in the 403B plan at the University of Maryland. Not a nickel. The match is 5%. What's 5% of 60,000? 3 grand. 4 years in, it's $12,000 she's given away. So I'll use the line I used with Melissa to you. If you're going to give it away, can I have it? I'll be very responsible with it, I promise. So if you're a FERS employee sitting here today and you're not maxing the TSP or putting in as much as you gosh darn can afford to, you're dead from the neck up. You can't beat it. Oh, we only have 5 choices, CSI, F&G, and some L funds. I don't care. It's better than no choice. It's better than no money in the account. And you'll never cuss me when you retire. Do you know I have 2 words spoken in my office all the time in 34 years? I wish. And it comes in 2 forms. I wish I'd started earlier, and I wish I had saved more. Really? I got a 29-year-old son who works at NSA, just like you folks, so you can't BS me. Has $125,000 in his TSP, and he's been there 5 years. You know what I told Brian? You have more money than a lot of people I sit down with in your thrift savings plan. And I told him, no matter what happens, come heck or high water, you get married, you have kids, no matter what you do, you max that plan. It is pre-tax, baby. You can't beat that with a 10-foot pole. You ain't paying taxes on that money. What a great tax savings. And after every income tax season, Ryan and I get deluged with phone calls. How can we pay less taxes? And all we do is look at your tax return and your pay stub. And it's a real easy calculation to see if you're maxing the TSP. What a gift. What an absolute gift. You can't beat it with a 10-foot pole. I wish I'd started earlier, or I wish I'd saved more. By the way, I've had TSPs come in over $1 million. They got it. They get it. It's another check in retirement. Absolutely. How are we doing time-wise? Better now? Yeah. Want to take about 5 minutes? 5-10 minutes, grab water, hit the bathroom a minute? I've got more things to beat you up on. It's working now. Oh, there we go. Not taking it all. All right, any questions? Some of you stopped and asked us during the break. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. And I'll repeat them, I promise. Go ahead.
The first is, can you lower your tax bracket by contributing more to the TSP?
All right, so the first question was, Dave, your first name is? Krista? All right, Krista, was, can I lower my tax bracket by contributing to the TSP? Right? Okay, go ahead. Second question. All right, so Krista, your second question was, should we be doing the Roth TSP or the traditional TSP? Or a combination thereof. Okay? Let me cover the first one, which is, can I lower my tax bracket? So I'll just use a real simple example, Krista. And I get this all the time. I'll illustrate it several ways. Krista, I make $50,000. And I'm a newbie, or I've been here a while, Krista, and I just choose that not to participate. You'd be amazed, Krista, when the TSP was introduced, there were a lot of CSRS employees who for sure thought Uncle Sam was out to screw them. There's something with this thing. I don't like it. So a lot of CSRS people, there are 33% of CSRSers who don't participate in the thrift savings plan. FERS employees, 14% don't participate in the TSP. So for those folks, Krista, it's, I make $50,000. These are my earnings, and they're putting nothing in. So Krista, if you go to my tax bracket chart, just grab the tax bracket chart. We'll make it real simple, and we'll make them single. They're in the 25% tax rate. Okay, so if you look at the tax bracket chart, their income falls between $36,900 and $89,350. Now, we're not taking all the deductions for mortgage and any of that. We're just making it real simple. You with me? So they're 25% tax bracket. Now, Krista, if I had them, they're not 50. If I had them put in 17.5 because they're under age 50, my income is now how much? 32.5 at tax time, correct? They're going to get a W-2 that tells them at tax time by putting this 17.5 in the TSP, and they're under age 50, that their taxable income is 32.5. I've immediately taken them, Krista, from a 25% tax bracket to a what? 15% as a single filer. And remember, we're making this real simple. Correct? Now, Krista, I can really make it dramatic by saying they make $50,000 and they're 50 years old, and I tell them to put $23,000 in, and it takes them down to what? $27,000. You can't believe, Krista, how many folks criticize Patty at Howard County General because I have 100% of her paycheck going to the 403B. And the other nurses say to her, you're hardly making a paycheck. And I said to Patty, they don't understand what we're doing. They have no clue what we're trying to do. It's all about retirement. And what's amazing, Krista, is I could have retired 10 years ago. I don't have anybody to play with. Everybody I know is working. And I said to my wife, most folks have done it wrong. What they worried about was accumulating all the toys and all the things and all the stuff in the early years. And I said to Patty, I don't care about the townhouse. I don't care what colors the rooms are. I'm just going to leave them plain. I don't care about furniture. I don't care about TVs. I don't care about cars. I care about none of that. Because since we're newlyweds, we have to put away as much as we can and get a good foundation. And yet now most of my age group, the wife is back to work because the kids are gone. And I'll never, Krista, denigrate a wife staying home to raise the children. Never in a million years. What a job. What a job. Okay? But now, Krista, those folks have raised their children. They're out of college. And they're in the workforce. Thank God their kids are in the workforce. And you know what they're doing? That wife or mom is now embarking on a career to save for what? Retirement. And I've had people, Krista, come in to sidestep a minute, who when we run their numbers in the projection for spending, I've had some people come in and say, I'm not spending what I thought I was going to spend in retirement. Statistically, studies will tell you, T. Rowe Price did it, you'll spend 100% of what you were spending when you retire. Once you retire, you'll spend 100% of what you were when you were working. And I get the argument all the time in my office. The kids are gone. I'm not going to buy lunch at work anymore. I'm not putting gas in the car. I'm not buying the same clothing. Baloney, if you have KIDS or GRANDCHILDREN, you're going to spend the money. Or you're going to buy the Cadillac you've always wanted, or you're going to take the Hawaiian cruise. You're going to do all those sorts of things. Okay? So I love it when folks say that. The second decade, Krista, 70% is what you'll spend. And a lot of that money will be going to where? Anybody know? Health costs. The last decade, should you live that long, 60% you'll spend of what you work. Where's it going? Definitely health care in that circumstance. So I would just tell you that now I've taken them to 27 if they put this away. Where's that take them? It still puts them where? In the 15% tax bracket. But, albeit 15%, is $27,000 less than $32,500 at tax time in a heartbeat. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's all about trying to bring down my income. Yes, ma'am. When I'm talking about putting the max in the TSP, all right. I still have to come back and get this, which I'll sort of answer along your lines. Your first name is? Gail. All right, Gail, your comment was, should you... Let me paraphrase, Gail. Dave, certainly do, if I'm a FERS, the 5% to at least get the match, correct? So that's the first priority, Gail, is if I'm a FERS employee, for gosh sakes, at least do 5% of your pay so you get Uncle Sam's 5%, correct? And you'd be amazed, Gail, how many people I've had to show in my office. If you're making $50,000 and you put in 5%, that's $2,500, and Uncle matches you $2,500. And Gail, I've had this conversation. Oh, no, he only puts in 5% of what I put in. Where'd you get that? So you're telling me he only puts in 5% of the $2,500 as your match? Yeah, nah. The match is based on your salary. So that's the first misnomer. So I always tell them, Gail, that if I make 50 and I put in 17.5 because I'm not 50 at tax, and I get the same 2,500 match. At the end of the year, Gail, I have 20,000 in the plan, and this individual has 5,000. So I always ask Gail in my office, which account's going to grow faster? And I'm assuming, Gail, even if we put it in the G, the L, the C, the S, the I, doesn't matter. We both put it in the same account. Whose account's growing faster? Mine, by virtue of putting in more money. Then I get asked your question, and I had it, Gail, from two gentlemen, Scott and Bob, who work for my firm, who disagree with me. I tell everybody, Gail, that the top priority is this guy. If I have a spouse who's eligible for this, a 401k is where their companies are out to make a profit, like RBC, McDonald's, IBM, Sears, Home Depot, etc. A 403b, let's define it as for nonprofit, hospitals, teachers, librarians. And a 457 plan is for all municipal employees, because one of you may be married to a spouse who works for the city, county, or state. So these are all the pre-tax available to us. So no excuses. 17.5 if I'm under 50. 23,000 if I'm 50 or older. So there's the limits. Then I get from Scott and Bob at my firm, Gail, your argument, well, you should have your clients put in to the extent they get the match and then do a Roth. You ready, Gail? Had a gal come in one time who would not max this plan at work. She comes in, Gail, to do a Roth IRA. Meanwhile, Gail, I've already told her max this. She comes in to do a Roth, Gail, after the calendar year's over. So let's pretend it's 14. She comes in my office and says, I want to do a Roth. And you know what I tell her? Hello, you don't qualify. You want to know why? Because you make too much. What do you mean I make too much? See, Gail, when the Roth was introduced, it was the greatest deal since sliced bread. The Roth was introduced on January 1st, 1997. And I said to my wife, Patty, at the time when it was introduced, this is the best deal since sliced bread. Hot diggity dog. Run, don't walk. Until, Gail, they did this. Can you see this? Can you see what I've written? The fine print. And you know what the rules are today? If you're single filer and you make less than 114 grand, you have it on your second page, you just don't have the right numbers. It's 114,000 can do Roth. If you make between 114,000 and 129, you can do a partial. If you make more than 129,000, Gail, bottom of first page of year 1040, guess what, Gail? No can do Roth. So this gal comes in, she's in sales, and she goes, holy macaroni. So you know what I said to her, Gail? If you had listened to me and done your TSP, 401k, 403b, etc., to the max, you would have qualified to do the Roth. But by virtue of you not maxing here, you disqualified yourself. I run into this all the time. And the problem is, Gail, this is only a calendar year contribution. This is until April 15th. What a gift, an extra 4 months to fund it. So, married, it's 181 to 191. So if a married couple makes less than 181,000, can do. 181 to 191 partial. If they make more than 191,000, Gail, combined, which isn't hard today, I can have 2 12s, 2 13s, 2 14s, 2 15s, and 2 SESers come in my office and they're making more than that. So guess what? Can't do the Roth. Well, then you tell them, do a traditional IRA. And the argument comes in, why? Can't deduct it. Why would you do that? Well, Money Magazine agreed with you back in 1987 when they stopped the deductibility of traditional IRAs and said, you make too much money, you're covered by a pension plan, you can't deduct a traditional IRA. You know what most people did? I quit. I quit, and Money Magazine agreed with you. Don't make the contribution. And I said to my wife, Patty, they're dead wrong. It's how many checks can I get walking in the door? The bigger the check, the better. So you know what, Gail? I've never quit funding a traditional IRA. Don't qualify for a Roth. Patty and I make too much. I know your heart bleeds for us, right? Get out the little violin, Dave. We're going to play it for you. You make too much. Nice problem to have. But, Gail, I've never stopped funding the traditional IRA, even though it's not deductible. And I get asked all the time, why would you do that? It still grows tax what? Deferred. I'm not paying taxes on what that has accumulated to. Patty has $375,000. I have $365,000 in traditional IRAs. Would you all like that statement at your house, yes or no? That's $700,000+. In retirement, Gail, it'll pay me $42,000 a year. You have to pay taxes on it. And so what? You don't have to pay taxes on your pension? Yeah. Well, how would you like another $42,000 on top of your pension? Well, I'd really like that. Yeah, but you're going to have to pay taxes. Then nobody wants to argue with you. Yes.
If you just started that IRA now, say you fund it this year, can you convert that to a Roth so you don't have to pay penalty on money that have been sitting there? Does that make sense to do that?
Okay, your first name is? Julie. All right, we're entering lots of fun places. Julie, so you're asking me about converting a Roth?
Or you can't fund the Roth because you make too much.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. January 1st, 2010, Julie. New law comes on the books, and the rule is as follows. Everybody can convert a traditional IRA to a Roth. Everybody. Prior to January 1st, 10, if you made over $100,000, no can convert. No can do. January 1st, 10, IRS and Congress say we're going to be nice folks and let anybody, doesn't matter how much they make, Michael Jordan can do it, Tiger Woods can do it, they can convert. Income doesn't matter anymore. Well, what are they looking for, Julie? They're looking for what? Tax revenue. Why? Because it's all taxable. So folks said, well, holy mackerel, it's all taxable. So I had a gentleman, Julie, stand up over at Social Security Administration back in 10, and he said to everybody in the audience, everybody should convert their IRAs from traditional Roth. I'm coming, I promise. Everybody should convert. And I said, really? I have over 700 grand. If I convert it, I've put in 90. It's all taxable. I don't want to pay taxes. So I said to him, Julie, if you're underwater, do you know what I mean by that? Underwater, the account is worth less than what he put in. I said, go ahead and convert. You don't have a tax liability. Or maybe you've put in 10 in a traditional and it's only worth 14. So you're going to have to declare 4,000. Now, Julie, for people like that, okay, they can take that and convert and pay the taxes or not pay any because they're underwater. Now, you ready? For folks like me and Patty, I thought, wow, another one. Can you see this, Julie? Once again, on this new law, January 1st, 10, you ready? There's a rule called rules of aggregation. And it says to people like Patty and Dave, if you have a traditional IRA over here, Julie, and you want to do a Roth there or convert, all this is taxable. Ooh. Now, there's something known, Julie, as a backdoor Roth. So I'll tell people this all the time. I don't need a show of hands. I want you to stop and think a minute. How many of you in here have no traditional IRA? If you have no traditional IRAs, listen up. You have been given a gift, Julie, since January 1st, 10. If you never availed yourself of it, Julie, shame on you.
Well, I funded the Roth, but now, you said you get that income from it.
Okay, so here,
Way to get it into the Roth.
you ready? So Julie says, Dave, I have a Roth over here, but now we make too much, right, Julie? We make too much, so we can't contribute. You ready? You have no traditional, right, Julie? Here's what I want you to do. Now, Julie, remember where you got this idea. Okay? You open a traditional IRA. Okay? You just open it. How much can you put in? $5,500 if you're under 50, $6,500 if you're 50 or what? Older, and it's not the day, it's the year. Okay? So, Julie, I want you to open with either $5,500 or $6,500 a traditional. I'm going to leave it there, Julie, for one night. That's it. It's going to sit there for one night. Tomorrow morning on Tuesday, Julie, I'm going to convert it to a Roth. And by the way, Julie, I'm going to convert it to your existing Roth. Is that okay? I'll convert it to your existing. Now, Julie, you ready? Under rules of aggregation, you have a traditional IRA. And you're supposed to, Julie, take into consideration any earnings you made on that traditional IRA and pay taxes on it when you do the conversion. How much did you earn in that IRA by sitting there one night? You didn't earn a nickel, especially given where interest rates are, correct? So, Julie, you didn't earn a nickel, zero earnings. Now, Julie, I want you to convert it to your Roth. Now you can add to your Roth. Does that make sense? It's very convoluted. It's called a backdoor Roth. Everybody understand it? I move fast. Patty, my wife, accuses me of moving fast. All right, you ready? This went into effect, as Julie knows, January 1st, 10. I have now had clients do it 4 years. 10, 11, 12, 13. We're now in our 5th year of where you can do this. It works ideally if you have no traditional IRA and you're in Julie's circumstances where she what? She makes too much to do the Roth. But she'd dearly love to have the Roth. And the attractiveness to the Roth is all earnings are tax-free if Julie goes to get the money under a certain set of rules. She has to be 59 and a half, and is the most important word, the account has to be 5 years in existence. And the Roth came into being back in January 1st, 97. So Julie knows I have clients who've met that requirement, right, Julie? So the only thing I have to do is say, are you 59 and a half? Yes, I am. They want to take money out to do what, Julie? Buy a car. Go ahead. I want to take money out to go on vacation. Go ahead. It's tax-free. I want to pay off the house. Go ahead. It's tax-free. As long as you meet the rule of 59 and a half, and the account is at least how old? 5 years, you're home free. What a deal. That's called a backdoor Roth, Julie. Backdoor Roth. Latest and greatest. But I have to go back and get Krista's question, do I not? Still, Krista? Roth, TSP versus traditional? All right. You ready, Krista? I ran some numbers a bunch of years ago because you now have a Roth ability for your TSP, do you not? Here. Okay? We've had it at RBC for 4 years. Okay? So we've had it a little bit longer than you. I took my son David, who at the time was 30 years of age, and I said David and Shannon, his wife, put in $5,500 each into a Roth IRA. They're going to leave it there for 30 years, and all they're going to do is earn 6%, Krista. Okay? So they're going to put $5,500 in the Roth each and leave it there for 30 years. And I'm going to assume, Krista, 6% rate of return, which is what Warren Buffett says count on. If you can get 6%, Warren Buffett said, that's a great rate of return. Okay? By the way, Krista, their accounts are $920,806. That's what their accounts are worth. David and Shannon's. By the way, Krista, $330,000 of it is their own money. That's $5,500 for 30 years, $165 per person. It's the money David put in, Shannon put in after tax. So $330 is their own money. So they're walking away with $590,806 tax-free at 60 years old. Hot diggity dog. Then, Krista, I tell them, now Dave and Shannon, take the TSP, and I want you to do $17,500 each, you and Shannon, into the TSP. And I'm going to leave that for 30 years at 6% as well. That grows to $2,929,836. But Krista, I got to back out their money, what they put in. They put in $1,050,000. Okay, 30 years times 17.5 is 5.25 each. So David put in $525,000. Shannon put in $520,000 after-tax money. So they're going to walk away with $1,879,836. Now you ready, Krista? They get $590,000 tax-free. They get $1,008,000 tax-free. They're walking away with roughly $2,470,000 tax-free 30 years from now when they're 60. Can I ask you a question, Krista? This is my contention, and you can call me old school. There are these two social programs called Social Security and Medicare that are running just a little bit short of money. So my contention is, Krista, they're going to change the rules, and they're going to tax this money again. Now, that's me. And I'm off the record. I'm not RBC. I'm Dave Walter. My contention is that Uncle Sam isn't letting anybody 30 years old, 30 years from now, walk away with $2,470,000 and not tax it. By the way, not this year. Do you remember the budget cliff nonsense a couple years ago? And Christmas, do you all remember that? Not this year, the previous year. Uncle Sam fired the first salvo on this and said, Julie, that we're going to take the income from the Roths and any income off of Roth and make it subject to alternative minimum tax. Now, I'll tell you what, Christine and Julie, it never got anywhere. The legislators killed it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the first salvo they fired. Hey, let's put it out there and see if anybody complains. And then, Krista, I get all the time, if they tax this again, that is double taxation. Ryan, pull up the tax bracket, or tax return. You grab a 1040. I don't think you have it in your handouts. Grab the 1040. Thank you. No. She's asking about the Roth TSP. Roth TSP, after tax. Go down the page, please. All right, can you all see line 28 where it says Social Security benefits? If you know anybody retired today who's drawing Social Security income, back in 1983, Uncle Sam changed the rule. It was never taxable. Now it is taxable. If you make more than $32,000, you're married, all sources of income, 50% of the benefit I paid you is taxable again. So let's put it on English, line 20A. Social Security mails you $20,000 a year as hubby and wife. You're retired, Krista. If your income from all sources exceeds 32 grand, you must report on line 20B. $10,000 is taxable again. If, Krista, you make more than $44,000, you must report 85% or 17.5 of the 20 taxable again. And for single, it's 25 and 32. 25 grand, 50% if you make more than 32 single filer, 85% subject to tax. Now, Krista, what's that called? Double taxation. I paid on Social Security benefit once out of my paycheck. Now I'm retired. I'm earning the benefit I paid into, and you're going to tax me again. Yes, we are. And the Gray Panthers, which were the seniors' acronym at that time, screamed bloody murder. This is insane, outrageous. And what happened? Did it pass? Absolutely. So my contention is, Krista, that Uncle Sam is not going to let David and Shannon walk away with, nor you, $2,470,000 tax-free. Now, I don't know that for sure, but if you made me bet, I bet that isn't going to happen. So I've told folks who are younger, Krista, in my office, you can put half in the TSP Roth and half traditional, and down the road when we look back, we'll go, should have put it here, should have put it there. We won't know until what? Till we get there. Now, Krista, I'm different. This is me. So I'm like Gail. We earn too much. So what do I want to do, Krista, with Patty's and my income? I want to drive it where? Down. What's the best way to drive your income down? The TSP. Why? You're making 50. In my example, you can drive it down 17.5. So your W-2 at the end of the year is what? 32.5. Which W-2 do you like better? One with 50 or one with 32.5? I know my answer. I like the one with 32.5, and I like this going in account with my name on it. And when I leave, I can take it with me. Hot diggity dog. What a great country. Great country. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. So regarding the Roth that they may tax that eventually down the road.
Okay, regarding the Roth that they may tax down the road.
Not this year, but many years down the road. Do you think it would be likely that they would...
Grandfather?
Yeah, right, exactly. Would it be two-tiered, like the Roth that you contributed before year X, let's say it's 2016, will remain the earnings? First of all, you're talking about the earnings that will be taxable, not the amount you put in, right?
Right.
Right, so it's not really double taxation in that regard. So it's only the earnings which you didn't pay tax on yet. But my real question, that's just a comment, but my real question is, about going forward versus grandfather. Because then everybody in this room right now is tax-free, so anything we put in right now is like in the bank.
Yes. My comments on the Roth TSP versus traditional are what I mentioned earlier. This is Dave Walter off the record, not RBC. I don't want to pay taxes today. I can't worry about what taxes will be in the future. There have been 35 tax bracket changes. When Kennedy was in office, rates were as high as 70%. Today's a walk in the park where we are. My second comment is I usually get asked about grandfathering. So you know, when Mr. Reagan was in office, with real estate, there were rules to depreciating real estate. The bill was signed in November for the change in depreciation rules on real estate. They went back to August 3 months earlier and made it retroactive. And yet, until he had signed it, everybody had said, it's grandfathered, because there were people who were writing into the real estate section of the Post inquiring, if I buy this real estate and place it now, am I going to get current depreciation rules? And of course, authors of the articles were saying, yes, you are. Then lo and behold, Congress came back and said, no, it's retroactive back to August. So I sit here today and say, you know what? will always think grandfathering, but you can't promise me that. They can always change the rules. The best you and I can hope for is what you said. Maybe it's a two-tiered. Everybody as of, and I'm making a date up, January 1st, 2015, here are the new rules for Roths. Everybody prior to that, from 97, when we first offered it, is grandfathered in. We can pray for that. I don't know the answer. I'm sitting here looking at the two social programs going, I don't believe David and Shannon are going to walk away with $2,470,000 tax-free. I don't believe it. Hence, even Maryland, I'll pick on Maryland. What did Maryland just do? They changed back the estate exemption to match the federal. Why? They realized people were leaving the state. Really? Did it take you that long to figure that out? When you put the estate exemption back to $1 million and the federal is 5.3? Really? Took you that long? Yes.
So I have another question regarding Roth. I think it's a great thing. But as you get closer to retirement, say you're close to retirement, and do you think that it's still a good deal for people that are close to retirement rather than like your son or my kids, when they're 30s or around 30, then they have this whole 30-year window. All I've got as I approach retirement is the hope that I'll have a long life, and therefore that earnings for the next 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, will be taxed.
I would always do the Roth if I was eligible. I would love to avail myself of it. As I said off the record, we don't qualify. I'll never have a Roth. It's okay. I can live with it. I'm a big boy. Make too much. Nice problem, as I said. If you said, Dave, what about the Roth? If you came in and said, I have traditional IRAs, the first thing I'm going to look at is how much is in your traditionals. You may want to do a backdoor. Upon doing a backdoor, you've got rules of aggregation. I've had people come in who didn't even know about the rules of aggregation, where they're going to have to pay taxes on their traditional IRAs when they do the conversion. So all depends on everybody's circumstances. I think the Roth is a great idea. I think it's the best deal since sliced bread. Till, as I told you, when they first introduced it in 97, what'd they do? Income limitation. If you make this, you can't have it. Why not? Why? Why are we penalized if you make too much? So I think the Roth is a great deal. Love the Roth. And I'll tell folks in my office, your first name is? Barry. I'll tell folks in my office, when I tell them to do a Roth, immediately, Barry, some folks say, oh my gosh, all our money's gone. We don't have any money left. Really? You can always go back and get your contribution, Barry, penalty free. Always get your contribution back. I didn't say the earnings will be subject to a penalty if you're not what? 59 and a half, and the account is at least 5 years old. So I've always said, Barry, in my office, if you have the ability to fund a Roth, run, don't walk, and you're not handcuffed like everybody thinks they are, Barry, because you can always go back and get your what? Your contribution penalty free. What a deal. What a deal. Does that help? Does that help Krista too on that? Okay, I had a question on TSP. Can I spend some time on the TSP? Yes, no? Okay, and I can come back and do IRAs as well. On the TSP, you have choices: CSI, F, G, and the L funds. Most of you should be aware of the debacle that took place in 08-09. Okay, when your C fund lost 37%, your S&I were 40 and 42%. We got our comeuppance, big hit in our capital. Okay? Now, no guarantee that can't happen again. So I'll ask all of you one question. Of your TSP balances, and don't call it out, of your TSP balances, I want you to think of the following question. How much do you not want to lose? Did everybody hear what I said? How much do you not want to lose? So let's put it in English now, and I'll pick on a number. If I have $250,000 in my TSP, I asked, how much do you not want to lose? Invariably in seminars, the answer is, I don't want to lose a nickel, especially if it's somebody like Barry, who says, I'm getting closer to walking out the door. Barry, can I use you? So Barry says, Dave, I don't want to lose a nickel. So Barry, you just said, I don't want to lose anything. Don't lose. Zero. So I tell Barry in my office, Barry, that means it all belongs in the G fund. Why? Because, Barry, that account cannot go anywhere but where? Up. Can't lose money. And I know about when Uncle Sam borrows from the G Fund. I know what you're going to tell me. Forget all that nonsense. It's always paid back. Forget it. The G Fund earns a guaranteed interest rate, albeit small. Last year, Dave, was only 1.58. Yeah, I know. But the account can't go where? You can't lose a nickel. Now, Barry, I have folks who come in, I know it's not you, Barry, who say they become instant stutterers when you tell them this. Based on your answer, 100% belongs in the G Fund. But Dave, the C Fund last year did 30-some%, the S Fund did 22, the I Fund did 40, and I'm only making 1.58. So they're immediately known as stutterers. Well, wait a minute. You said 5 minutes ago you didn't want to lose anything. Yeah, but. So you're listening to everybody around you. Yeah, they're browbeating me. Everybody who sits around me is browbeating me because I'm sitting there earning 1.58 on my 250, and they're laughing at me because on my 250 I could have earned 30+%, 20-some% last year. Whose money is it? Can I ask you all a question? Whose money is it? Is it not yours? They don't live at your house. And for everybody who's willing to tell you what to do with your TSP, you need to ask them this question. Why are you still here? Why are you working here? Dave is hiring 410-730-7488. If they have the answers as to when to be in and out of CS&I and run to G and when to get out of G and back to CS&I, tell them to call me. 410-730-7488. I'll never have a phone call. Why? Because they don't know. Okay? So, it's your money. Don't back up. Now, Barry, I'm going to show you a strategy I've said to clients. You want to participate in this market going up? Yes, I do. Then take your balance, as we said, and you can leave it 100% G. So, Barry, you can't lose a nickel, right? So I'll give you two theories. First, take your new contributions of 17.5 or 23 and go pedal to the metal. C, S, and I. Really? Yeah, you said you want to participate in the market. And you ready? I want 40% in the I, 30 S, 30 C. I fund? Are you kidding me? Have you heard about the pigs? Oh, you mean Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain? Yeah, I know about them. What about them? Well, you know, there's problems over there. Their problems are being resolved. February 14th this year, they were all upgraded by Moody's as to their debt and creditworthiness. All of them upgraded. Ireland is now creditworthy paper. Who are you going to buy? The I Fund was the least rate of returner last year. It was only up 22%. Why are you putting money in the C and the S, 50-50, or 80-20, and nothing in I? Well, you know, I didn't make anything, hardly, and it's got more risk. The I Fund is on sale. Do you not want to buy on sale? Or do you want to open the Baltimore Sun, the Washington Post, I'll come get your question, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and see these words? Europe is fine, buy now. Where do you think prices are when that announcement hits the paper? Low or high? Yet we're supposed to buy low and sell high. You know what? Nobody ever does it. It is so counter emotionally and psychologically, we cannot bring ourselves to do it. This market, folks, at some point is going to correct. We're going to go down anywhere from 5 to 10%. I'll tell you right now, we'll find out who's got thick skin by staying in when it drops. Because at some point it will go back up. When? I don't know. But at some point it'll go back up. So, one strategy. Let me finish Barry and I'll come back because I got her question too. At the end of the year, I've put in 23. I'm over 50. My 23, because last year was spanking great year, is now $29,000. You know what you do? You move the $29,000 to the G Fund. You want to know why? I got it right here. Can they take it from me? Yes or no? I can't lose it. I'm getting ready to walk out the door, whether it's 5 years, 4, 3, 2, or 1. They can't take that money from me, Barry. I made it. Now, you ready, Barry? Next year comes along. I put in another 23 grand, assuming that's the max, and oh my gosh, it was a terrible year. It's only worth 19. You know what I do? I move my 19 to the what? G fund. Is what it is. I took a shot. Market didn't perform. Oh well, is what it is. Next year comes along. I put in 23, assuming that's the limit, and it grows to 32 grand. Hot diggity dog. I move the 32 to the G. I'm participating in the market, but I've got my go to what money? Go to heck money. Can't take it from me. And everybody in here should know what number that is for your threshold of pain. Because what we'll tell you, Ryan and I will tell you from our side of the desk, is as follows. Here's the rule of thumb. And it was beat to death in 08, 09. Standard rule of thumb. Your age should be equal to, as a percentage, the amount of your money that you keep safe at all times. Did everybody hear what I just said? Your age is supposed to be indicative of what you keep safe at all times. So if somebody comes in, Barry, and they tell me they're 52, I tell them, you want to know the rule of thumb? Here it is. 52% of your money belongs in the G fund. And then they stutter. But Dave, did you see the TSP last year? Yes, I did. And you know what, Barry? When the market takes off like it did last year, nobody cares about the rule of thumb. All clients want to do is be in something that's going where? Up in value. Nobody cares about diversification. Nobody cares about rule of thumb when the market's going up. Never has any bearing. Phone rings off the hook in our office when the market's going down. Shouldn't I move to the G fund now? What do you think? Should I move to the G fund? As I said earlier, you can't believe how many folks in 08, 09 panicked and moved all their money to the G fund, never to return. And accounts have doubled since 09. Now, it's your money, it's not mine. I'm just giving you theories or ways to look at it. If you're scared to death, go back and do the 100% to the G and be aggressive with new money. Or employ the rule of thumb. And Barry, I've had people come in and do this. Well, I'm going to take my new money and use the same rule. So I'm going to go 52% G. And Dave, I'm going to do 48% in the market. So what do you think? Give me 16, 16, 16. CSI. Real easy. So they're taking, Barry, some of their new money and going where? G as well. Different strokes for different folks. Everybody has a different threshold for pain. Let me get her question. Yes, ma'am. Now I'll come back, Barry.
What is, can you explain the L fund and whether that is a good idea to do that?
Okay. Question was, Dave, your first name is? Stacia. Stacia says, Dave, can you explain the L funds? The L funds were created for two reasons, Stacia. Number one, corporations like IBM, Home Depot, McDonald's, Giant Food, etc. have 401ks, and the employer match would always go in the company stock. Always. Why? Self-serving interest of the corporation. Till Enron came along. Do you remember old Enron? And the contributions went to where with Enron? Zero. So Uncle Sam said, you can't do that anymore. You can't have the company match just go into your company stock plan. Secondly, Stacia, they introduced L funds, or target date, they're known as. For you all, it's L funds. For the rest of the world, it's target date. The other reason is Uncle Sam passed a rule or a law where corporations are allowed to mandate that you're in the 401k. Really? So they can tell the new hirees next door that automatic 3% of their pay is going in? Yep, they sure can. And the only way out, Stacia, is for an employee to sign a form that says, I'm opting out. What does that do for the corporation? 30 years from now, when the employee comes back, the corporation says, I got this signed letter that says you opted out. So sorry that you don't have anything for retirement. Because you know what happens, Stacia. My kid's generation is great at doing this. You know what this means? Somebody else's fault, it's not mine. They didn't take care of me. So the L funds or target date funds were created for that reason. Now, your L funds, okay, as I march towards retirement, Stacia, depending upon the date I've chosen, as I'm marching closer to retirement, the money moves from the CSI closer to the F and G, the bond or the guaranteed interest. But you know what's amazing, Stacia? You cannot believe how many people think the L income fund is 100% in the G or the F fund. Really? There isn't one target date fund, and Congress held hearings after 08-09 because T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, Vanguard, every mutual fund group has a different allocation to their target date funds that is in the market. And they were all different. And you can't believe, Stacia, how many folks had no clue, zero clue, that their money was in the stock market. So your L income fund, and I track it every month, okay, your L income fund has today 20% in the market. That's the L income fund. Really, I thought it was all F and G. Nope, you're 20% exposed. Really, I didn't know that. And you're not going lower. You're always going to have 20% in the market. So there's this big myth or misnomer that because I go to this, the closer I get to retirement, I don't have any exposure. I have zero exposure. Wrong. You always have exposure to the market. But the L is for folks who say, I don't want to fool with CS&I and F&G. I don't want to figure out how to allocate it. I want somebody else to do it, so it's a marching. As I get older and closer to my date, it moves more and more towards the F&G. That's all it is. Automatic rebalancing. And you can go on your TSP website and you can look at it. January, April, July, October. Boom, 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 boom. There's rebalancing. Does that answer that? If I'm lazy, yeah. If I just want to go to dinner and I want to go on vacation, I don't really care, then throw it in an L fund. I think you can beat the L funds by going CSI, F&G on your own. But an awful lot of folks like this. It's the default. Congress's problem was people didn't understand the default funds. Didn't understand how they worked. I think you can beat it by doing it individually. But a lot of folks don't want to put the time or effort in. Then you have others, Stacia, who sit in the office and that's all they do all day. Not doing their job. At Verizon Corporation, where I lecture, they were allowed to trade their 401k plan all day. Productivity went way down. They could trade the Verizon stock, the actual stock. Then they changed the time to 12 noon. All orders in their 401k had to be in by 12 noon. You know the productivity picked up in the afternoon? But you know what, Stacia? It's no different than the federal government. It's amazing how many FERS employees would get sick. And CSRS people never get sick. Why? Because their sick leave for years counted as part of their time. So somebody figured out at the federal government, geez, you know, maybe if we give the FERS people credit for their sick leave, maybe they won't get sick as much. Wow. Statistically, it changed. Folks aren't getting sick as much in the who are FERS employees. Really? So it's just amazing. Any other questions on TSP? Did that answer yours that you had asked me about? Yes. Yes, Barry.
I'm not sure I'm kind of puzzled. Maybe I just got it wrong. But, the hypothetical, you had 250,000 in the TSP. The person was getting closer to retirement, they're called in G fund. Is that what you would really recommend?
All I said, Barry, was on my 250, I said as follows. You have 250 grand. You're in my office. Barry, how much do you not want to lose? If you said, Dave, I don't want to lose a nickel, Barry, that 250 belongs where? G fund. Now, Barry, you could be 12 years away from retirement. I just asked you the question, how much do you not want to lose? But if you want rule of thumb, Barry, rule of thumb is what? Your age is supposed to be what you keep safe. But Barry, everybody's different. I had a hubby and wife in. Hubby's sitting over here. He's 100% in the market in his TSP. She's in the G and he's criticizing her. And not only is he criticizing her, her fellow employees at work are criticizing her. And I finally said to her, why are you backing up? Quit backing up. It's your money. It's not his. Yeah, I realize you're married to him, but whose money is it? and you're not comfortable. So why are you going to do something when you're not comfortable and you can't sleep at night? It's your money. And Barry, I have it coming in on Wednesday. They were in 2 weeks ago. We're running their numbers. Their numbers are done. You ready? She's 100% G, and she went there on 09. When the market crapped, she went 100% G. You know where he is, her hubby? 100% in the market. And she sat there and made excuse after excuse, Barry, 2 weeks ago on why she's sitting in the G fund. And I finally said to her, stop making excuses. It's your money. I'm not going to criticize you for having it in the G fund. It's your account, nobody else's. Keep it where you want it. You have to be able to sleep at night. Okay? Different strokes for different folks. Barry, I'll have some folks come in and say this to me. I have a CSRS pension, and the present value of the CSRS pension is, I'm making $100,000 a year, and it's worth $2.5 million at 4%. So I feel like, Dave, I have an account worth $2.5 million, a fixed income account. So you know what I'm doing with my TSP? I'm 100% in the market because I got a fixed income account here called a pension. Whatever floats your boat, whatever method you're going to rationalize where you have your money. The problem is when the market takes a hit, everybody runs to the what fund? Run to the G. And then they try and figure out, when do I get back in? And there isn't any magic answer as to when to get back in. We're not going to tell you. Pardon? Thank you, sir. Mr. Buffett says it best. You can't time the market. Never met anybody yet who can time the market. Can't do it. So the only thing I can tell you, folks, is get in the TSP, max it, max it, max it. You'll never cuss me for how much money. To me, this is the first priority. And Krista, I don't care if it's Roth or it's traditional. Doesn't matter to me. That, to me, is the first priority, or 401k or 403b or 457. Max it, max it, max it. Second priority, in my opinion, is the IRA. So, Gail, I'm a little bit different. And Scott and Bob, who I told you argued with me, I thought it was a little bit self-serving to tell the client, only put in what they match and then come do a Roth or IRA with me. And I said to Bob and Scott, seems a little self-serving to me. The best thing they can do is their plan at work. How do you beat pre-tax? Yeah, but you got more choices with a Roth outside. So I can rationalize it, Gail, any way I want to make me look good. I just disagree with Bob and Scott. I think the second priority is the IRA. And if you qualify for the Roth, run. If you don't qualify, then do the what? Do the traditional. Yes?
But you can only take a lump sum out once from your RIP. So to keep some money in an IRA outside of the RIP, would that make any sense to happen?
All right, now you're asked, can I cover, Gail, when I leave? Is that okay? Can I cover when I leave here with the TSP? Is that all right if I sort of cover it that way? With a TSP, the day I leave, I can do what, Gail? Nothing, right? I can leave it. And by the way, Gail, they better know where you live, because at age 70 and a half, you have to take a required minimum distribution. Do you know, Gail, at one point there were 7,000 people they can't find? Can't find them. It's just like the state of Maryland. Every year, the Baltimore Sun publishes a list of people they can't find. Okay? So they better know where you are, so you can do nothing. Second choice is annuitize it. That means in English, you turn your money over to MetLife, and MetLife looks at three things: interest rates, your age, and life expectancy. And then MetLife says, Gail, we'll pay you, I'm making up a number, $812 a month the rest of your life. You die, Gail, we'll give it to your beneficiary until the account's exhausted. By the way, Gail, anybody who does this now, congratulations, you're locking in interest rates that are historical lows. I wouldn't do this for love or money. You couldn't pay me to do number two. It's absolutely crazy. Number three, roll it to an IRA. Now, you ready, Gail, for self-serving? We're told, because we tell you this, that it's in our interest to tell you that. I'm going to tell you right now, Gail, you have far more choices than CSI, FG, and L funds. You have gosh knows how many stocks. You have gosh knows how many bonds. You have gosh knows how many mutual funds. if you roll it to an IRA. By the way, so everybody knows in this room, you are not taxed if it goes from TSP directly to the IRA trustee. You pay no taxes and no penalties. And Gail, one of the advantages is, you ready? You like Microsoft stock or Apple. Let's pick on Apple. It's going to split here. 7 for 1. You love Apple stock. Can you have Apple stock here? The only way you're going to get Apple stock is you have to roll it to an IRA, correct? So Gail, you tell me to buy you 100 shares of Apple in your IRA, which you can do. It's called a self-directed IRA. You can do whatever you want in there. Ready, Gail? It comes time, you're 70 and a half. You now have to take a required minimum distribution. No different, Gail, than the TSP up here. Same rules apply. And you know what I say to you on the phone? Gail, you have to take this year, I'm making up a number, $6,125. Wow, where am I going to get it? I'm going to have to sell Apple stock, Dave. And you know what I tell you, Gail? You don't have to sell Apple stock. I don't? No, Gail. You're allowed to do what's known as an in-kind distribution. You can tell me, move 50 shares of Apple. I'm making up an amount of shares, Gail. Move 50 shares of Apple to the joint account with you and your husband. Did you sell Apple, Gail? Nope. You still own it, which you wanted to do. I've now journaled it out into your IRA account, and you still own Apple. You can die with Apple stock in your joint account. Never has to be sold. Up here, Gail, you're always taking what out? Cash. And by the way, Krista, if it's a Roth TSP at 70 and a half, you have to take a required minimum distribution, an RMD. Whereas if it's in a Roth IRA, you don't have to take anything. You can die with it. So if you make it a Roth TSP, RMDs still apply according to the TSP rules. Really? I don't want it. Doesn't matter. You're getting it. Well, I don't have to pay taxes on it. I know, but you're getting it. You're not leaving it in the Roth TSP. You have to take required minimum distributions. So a self-directed IRA down here has lots and lots of advantages. Lots of advantages, Gail, to me. And Gail, you can set up multiple IRAs. Don't forget, I have 500 grand in my TSP. I can have 5 IRAs with 100 grand each. And I can tap one and leave the other 4 to grow. I have tons of flexibility. Yes?
So you can tap it, like TSP, you can only take the one time.
As Gail's saying, a one time, I can do a partial, but the next time I come back, it's got to be in full, but go ahead.
The self-directed, you could do whatever.
I can, your first name is? Julie. I can do, Julie, I've got a TSP worth 500. I'm going to roll it to an IRA. By the way, Julie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do IRA number 1, IRA number 2, IRA number 3. IRS could care less, Julie, how many IRAs I have. It's my business. So I can go 150, 150, 150. IRA number 4, 50 grand. And you know what, Dave? Julie says to me, I'm going to deplete that one first. I'm going to let these 3 cook on the stove as long as possible. In Gail's example, she says, I need some money. Okay. She needs some money. Doesn't matter whether it's TSP or an IRA. She's going to pay taxes on the distribution. Why? She hasn't paid taxes. Unless she did it as a Roth. Okay. So IRS says you can do this any way you want. The burden of record keeping is on whom? Us, the taxpayer. Yes, sir.
One advantage of a TSP be that the administrative cost of a TSP are a lot lower than, let's say you go to an IRA and you invest in mutual funds. The TSP funds have much lower administrative costs than your traditional mutual funds.
Thank you. Your first name is?
Jim.
Jim? All right, Jim said to me, Dave, the TSP administrative costs are far less than a self-directed IRA, especially if you're using mutual funds. Correct, Jim?
Right.
Okay, Jim, I went to Morningstar. Anybody ever heard of Morningstar in here? Yes or no? It's the Bible for mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and it's great. Jim, I went to Morningstar 8 years ago, and Ryan and I updated every month. Your TSP is very cheap, yes. What I did, Jim, was I said, I want a fund like your C fund to Morningstar. I want a fund like your S fund. I want a fund like your I fund. I want an F fund, and I want a G fund counterpart. All costs out, net, give me net costs, and I'll update it every month. So, Jim, what I'd run is I put 50 grand into your C, S, I, F, G. I can go buy something else to beat. Okay? Last month, Jim, through April, if you had 50,000 in CSI and F, CSI and F, 50 grand in each. You with me? So you have 200 grand. Your 200 grand from 10 years ago is worth $405,550. I asked Morningstar for the best performers that are most like you. They have to be comparable so I can compare apples to apples. So I took Morningstar's best and put 50 grand into each of those. It was worth $494,768 after all costs. So, Jim, I get this question all the time in seminars. So, Jim, my answer to you is I have $89,000 more dollars than you.
Is that because of the cost of fund performance?
Performance, and this is net of all costs. Your costs are taken out, and my costs are netted. I've already paid the cost. Dollars in, dollars out. And what's interesting, Jim, you bring up a very good point. BlackRock runs your thrift savings plan. I don't know if you all are aware of that. And Larry Fink, who is the CEO of BlackRock, was rumored to be the next Secretary of the Treasury after Mr. Geithner. However, Larry Fink makes a little bit more money running BlackRock than he would as Secretary of the Treasury, so he turned the job down. No surprise. So you all know, your C fund, if you put 50,000 in, Jim, it was 104,661 from April of 04 to April 14. The fund most like you, Jim, is BlackRock Equity Dividend. Ooh, wait a minute. BlackRock Equity Dividend, and our funds are run by BlackRock. So BlackRock Equity Dividend beats you by, after cost, Jim, $114,268. Beats you by approximately $10,000. After I've paid all fees. And so folks say to me in the office, wait a minute, BlackRock? Yeah, yours is unmanaged, this is managed. Which means in English the manager said, rather than buy Yahoo, I'm going to buy Google. So I run that every single month, Jim. And when the TSP beats me, I will tell you, leave it in the TSP. Every single month in the last 8 years I've been running it, Morningstar's best continually beat the TSP. So I tell clients, here's the illustration from Morningstar, not making anything up. You take it, you decide. It's your money, but these funds beat you. So I haven't had anybody yet, Jim, tell me they wouldn't like $89,000 more dollars. And that's just April to April. I'm about to run May as soon as the TSP announces their results. I checked today, Jim, it wasn't there yet. Okay? Yes?
Your example of multiple TSP or multiple IRA funds, on the downside be when you hit 70 and a half, you have to take a distribution from each one of those as opposed to one?
No, all right, your first name is? Julie? Well, I got a lot of Julies. All right, you ready, Julie? That is not the downside. IRS says you can have as many IRAs as you want, Julie, and you're allowed to deplete whatever account you want, Julie. So in my example where I had 150, 150, 150, and 50, for my RMD, I have to take the value of all of them at 70 and a half. So I have to take that value of all of them. So let's say, I'm making up numbers, it's $6,125 is my RMD at age 70 and a half. IRS could care less, Julie, where I take it from. Doesn't matter to them. All they care about, Julie, is that I get it out so that they can do what? Tax me. They don't care which account you deplete. So we've set up multiples, Ryan and I have set up multiple accounts, Julie, where clients are just depleting one. And it may be they're at 59 and a half and they only want to do it for 4 years, college funding, whatever. They need funds, as Gail said. They may need some funds for an interim period, and they want to let the difference sit on the stove and do what? Cook until they're 70 and a half.
So if it was all in one and you were still only taking the minimum
Yes, but it just gives more flexibility, far more flexibility. Here, as you said, Dave, if it's in one account, I'm taking $6,125 anyway, so the difference is sitting there. That's correct. This still gives you more flexibility.
I mean, are those insured individually? Isn't there like a max on insurance or something per account or is that per company?
Depends on where my money is. If in my example with Gail, it was all Apple stock, what's her account insured to? Well, her stock is only as good, or her account is only as good as what? Apple. What she's insured for is SIPC, Securities Investors Protection Corp. At RBC, we have $100 million. Well, that's in case I run away with the money. You're insured. I'm bonded, so you're protected. But Apple is not insured. The stock itself. Microsoft is not insured. Home Depot is not insured. Procter & Gamble's not insured. None of those are insured. Okay? Yes. I'll come get your question. Yes.
So I happen to be aware that the requirement changes every year depending on the balance that's left in the account from the previous year.
Yes, at 70.5, Barry, it's 3.649%, and it goes up every year. And until
A variable account, like a mutual fund, that factor you just mentioned, the 3 point whatever, will change depending on the balance in the account at the end of the year.
correct, no different, Barry, than the what? No different than the TSP, correct? No, if I leave the TSP there at 70.5 and I have it in CS&I, it's a variable account.
So you have 4 IRAs. This is my question. How will each IRA know how much you need to take out of the other 3 so that if you leave it to that mutual fund company or whatever IRA, you know, the amount that you owe on all 4, the aggregate, which is what your strategy is, would have to know what all 4 balances are in the previous year to come up with the right number.
Yeah, this has to be established by 12/31 as to value. So go ahead, Barry. So I've got 150, 150, 50, and 50. And let's pretend, Barry, my distribution is 6,125. So what's your question?
Question is, that's in year 1, the day they can transfer. In year 2, one might be worth 160, one might be worth 90, one might be worth 125, whatever. So whatever, and then the third one,
Fourth one?
will be, what is that, a low balance one?
I got 375. I was at 500 now. What do you want me to make the last one? Okay, so I'm now sitting at 250, 375. I'm at 445. Go ahead. So I apply the formula 3.7 some percent of 445. I don't. My computer does it automatically. So I can tell you around January 2nd or 3rd what your required minimum distribution is for 2014. So I tell you, Barry, based on the 12/31/13 value of 445,000, I'm making up a number, Barry. 3% of that, you have to take $12,180. And then, Barry, you say to me, Dave, how can I take it? IRS could care less, Barry, whether you take it monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or once a year. And by the way, Barry, they don't care which account you take it out of. It doesn't matter. Now, the problem becomes, Barry, when folks have multiple IRAs. I'm over here at this bank. I'm over here at this mutual fund. I'm over here at that mutual fund. I'm over here in TSP. And none of them talk to each other. So the burden is on the institution where you have the account to make sure they correspond to you in writing what your required minimum distribution is. And some institutions, Barry, let it slip by the wayside. They're not on the ball. And the client goes, oh, wow, Barry, I had a gal, 78 years old. Every year, Kelly, my assistant, would call her and write her what she needed to take as a required minimum distribution. We never hear back. We would never hear back from her. Just wouldn't get an answer. She calls me one day, and Nancy says to me, I haven't taken a distribution for 8 years. Yeah, I know. She said, well, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. I said, well, here's your problem. The penalty is 50% of what you should have taken for each year. Holy mackerel. She said, well, I have a problem. I said, what's your problem, Nance? You should see my dining room table. So, Barry, I got a little flipping with her. I said, well, when IRS audits you, just tell the auditor he should see your dining room table. Because IRS could care less. The penalty is 50% of what you should have taken. We've sent you letters. Kelly has called you. We have it all documented. So IRS will eventually catch up to her. Okay, question over here. Yes, ma'am.
And my question is related to that concern of the 50% penalty if it's not, if you don't take out the minimum distribution. So, you know, 'cause I was considering waiting until 70 and a half. However, I'm concerned that you don't have any wiggle room once you get past 70 and a half for that minimum distribution. So would it be wise to start taking out the distributions earlier? Or does that not, it doesn't, once I get 70 and a half, it doesn't matter anymore?
All right, so your question is, Dave, I have to take an RMD at 70 and a half, and my hand is forced at 70 and a half. There are rules. Your first name again was? Janice. What's interesting, Janice, do you know that until 87 or 97 that you had to take it all out in 16 years? And people complained. They said, oh my gosh, my whole TSP, my IRA, all this money has to be out. So IRS changed the rules and said it now goes to 115. And everybody thinks they're nice guys to have done that. First of all, Janice, I need you to know that they're not nice. You die with an IRA, there could be double taxes, right? Estate and income tax. Okay? So they didn't do it to be nice. People complained, I don't want to have to take it all so quickly. So we're going to be nice guys. Yes. Now, you're right, your hand is forced at 70 and a half. So Janice, I have Buck come in and he goes, oh my gosh, I'm 70 and a half, I guess I have to take my RMD. And then he says to me, Janice, I have to spend it. I started laughing. I said, what do you mean you have to spend it? Well, you know, I have to take it out, so I have to spend it. I said, you don't have to spend it. So Janice, what we do for him, for Buck, is we journal. It's called journaling the RMD to a joint account with his wife. I journaled the entire amount, Janice, to there. So let's pretend, Janice, it's $6,125 the first year, like we're using with Barry. So I journaled $6,125 to a joint account with your hubby. You ready? You don't spend this. You invest it. Dave, I'm going to invest it. Okay, Janice, you can do whatever you want. You can invest it, you can spend it, you can blow it, you can go to Vegas, you can do whatever you want. You just have to be able to have money over here to pay the what? Taxes on it. So you don't have to spend that, Janice. You can reinvest it. You just have to have the what? Tax dollars in an account to pay the taxes on it. And then I'm getting now more, Janice, as a result of the market doing so well from 2009 to now, people complaining to me they have to take an RMD. And I sit here and say, really? Cripes, I started an IRA for my son Michael when he was 14. For 56 and a half years, IRS can't touch him? And now Michael's going to complain after 56 and a half years of compounding? Get a life. All IRS says is we'd like to tax part of it. That's all. It's a pretty fair deal, especially in Michael's example. So you don't have to spend it, Janet. All depends on how you work at your house.
See, I'm not concerned of spending the money or, you know, because otherwise I might even left it in there longer than that. My concern is the penalty or once if I started going out at 70, you know, say at 65, at 70 and a half, how does that change? Or does it change?
Okay, you can take whatever.
I'm taking out, but I'm still putting in, right?
Well, you're 59 and a half. What you're telling me is, Dave, I'm doing this. Janice says, Dave, at 65, I'm reinvesting it. I'm taking out and reinvesting. First of all, Janice, at 59 and a half, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Whatever amount you want, whenever. You just have to pay what? No penalty. Taxes. Okay? At 65, you're still taking money. Great. Keep doing it. At 70 and a half, Kelly calls you and says, Janice, here's your required minimum distribution for this year. You know what you say to Kelly? Oh, it's only $6,125? I've been taking $7,500 every year. Automatic, Kelly. Yeah, I know. I just wanted you to know the dollar amount Kelly tells you on the phone. You exceed it, so you don't have to worry about anything. I don't know. You're already taking more than the what? More than the minimum. All IRS cares is that Janice takes the minimum. And as I said, Janice, we don't care whether you take it monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annually. It doesn't matter to us at IRS. We just want to do what? Tax you.
But I just want to make sure I have it in my head. At 70 and a half, it is still locked into that minimum distribution. And if it's not met, it's that 50% cut. Okay.
Every year, Kelly will call you or write you a letter and say, Janice, here's the amount you have to take. And if we don't hear back from you, IRS at some point will come knocking on your door. That's easy. That's real easy. Yes, ma'am. Can I talk a little bit about annuities? Okay. Your first name is? Thank you. Terry? Terry? Okay. All right, annuities. They're a life insurance company product, Terry. And their primary feature is tax deferral. And it's typically, Terry, after-tax money you put in. So, Terry, the first thing is, Dave, I've done the TSP. I've done an IRA. You have any other investments I can make where I don't pay current taxes? Then it would be called an annuity. Several things you need to know. That money is tax deferred, as we said. 59.5 rule applies, Terry. 10% penalty if you touch it before that. All annuities, Terry, have surrender charges. In English, every life insurance company that issues these wants your money for a certain period of time. So the boys at Everest in Baltimore who advertise 8 Ways from Sunday, you better understand that there's something called a surrender charge associated with that policy. And that's where the insurance company says year 1, for example, 10%. Year 2, 9%. Year 3, 8%. See what I'm doing? So they want to know they have that money for a certain period of time. By the way, so you know, Terry, annuities pay us the best commission in the industry and in our business. We typically get anywhere from 5, 6, 8% of what you put in. So if you put in $50,000 into this annuity, we just made today $2,500, $4,000, $5,000. You'll never see it because 100% of your money goes in at once. You'll never see it. So, Terry, I'm going to mail you magnets and Christmas cards, and I'm going to pull up in your driveway in a Mercedes-Benz because you done paid for my Mercedes-Benz and my magnets and my Christmas calendars. Okay? Then your choices within the annuity are fixed rate contracts, like a CD. So think of that, Terry, as nothing more than a tax-deferred CD. That's all it is. If it's a fixed-rate contract. If it's a variable, it's like Jim mentioned over here, it's mutual funds inside of it. That's it. Then some of the consternation is with the annuities, you're paying double fees. You're paying a fee to the mutual fund, and, Terry, you're paying a fee to the life insurance company. So you're paying double fees. The only reason you'd ever do this is you said, I've exhausted this, exhausted that, I've maxed it, I want something else tax favored. Don't forget, besides annuities, you can go to municipal bonds. Issued by cities, counties, towns, and states, Terry, $5,000 minimum. The interest is what? Tax-free. So you call me and say, Dave, I want something tax-free. You buy a $5,000 municipal bond issued by Howard County, paying you 5%, matures 2023, July 1st. Cost you $5,000. It's going to mature July 1st, 2023, and you know who the issuer is, Howard County. Okay? So just be careful on these. Doesn't mean they're bad, because they're getting a lot of press, Terry, for folks who have no pension plans, where they should go out and buy an immediate annuity that they can't outlive. So they're not always the bad guy. But every single one of you in this room has a pension. So I don't know where you need an immediate annuity on top of it. You have an immediate annuity, your pension. And you have a COLA. None of these have COLAs. There's no cost of living. Every single one of you has a COLA. So what a great country. What a great, great country. Other questions? I can keep going. You want me to cover pay off the house? Yes? All right. Paying off the house. There's a big argument about paying off the house. So, the minute you buy a house, Ryan, throw up that truth in lending, will you? When you buy a house, you're required by law to be given a truth in lending disclosure statement. And everybody laughs about this statement on the way home because there are 4 boxes. Your annual percentage rate, your finance charge, how much we're going to make off of you, how much we let you borrow, and the total cost of the loan all the way in the far right box. So everybody laughs on the way home. Hey, honey, can you believe how much this house is going to cost us? Who's the last laugh on? Is it not on us as homeowners? And I was on the board of Columbia Bank, and John Bond would come in every month and talk about net yield spread every month as a first part of our meeting. And net yield spread means how much are we paying you as depositors on CDs and savings and checking accounts, and how much are we making in 3 areas. And the 3 areas are mortgages, credit cards, and car loans. And the net yield spread is the difference between what we're paying you and what we're charging you. Net yield spreads were very, very nice. And they're still as nice on mortgages. I can pay all of you 0.25 in your credit union here, and I'll give you a mortgage at 4.5%. I'm making 4.5 spread. Okay? So that's the laughing statement on the way home. So I thought about it for a long time. And remember, I'm caveating my argument with, if you know you're staying in the house you're in now, pay it off as quickly as possible. It's not the write-off you think it is. So I need a favor. Your name is?
John.
John? John, I want you to pretend that your mortgage is now $1. So all I want you to do, John, is throw $1 in that envelope every month. So put it in there for me. It's Dave's Mortgage Company. And please notice the address on the outside, John. Where is that?
The Pink Beaches, Hamilton, Bermuda.
Okay, I'm going to be sitting on the pink beaches of Bermuda, John. And on the 1st or the 15th, the 25th or 30th, I am going to tell Patty I have to go to the mail P.O. box. And I'm looking for all these checks to come in the mail. In exchange for that, John, I will give you back, so I need your name and address before you leave today. I'm going to give you back 28 cents on average federal and 9 cents state and local. So I'm going to put 37 cents in here for you. And I'm going to mail that back to you. So all I want from you, John, is $1. Thank you for letting me use you. And I'm going to mail you back 37 cents. Is that a deal?
For you.
Oh, it's a deal for me. How's it a deal for me? Bingo, you're right. How's it a deal for me? You mail me $1, I mail you back 37 cents, so I get to keep how much? Come on, who's fast at math? 63 cents, right, John? It's not a trick question, I promise. No trick question. So I've asked John to put $1 in here, and I'll mail him back 37 cents, and I get to keep 63. You ready, John? Wrong. As your mortgage company, I have your whole dollar. There isn't a mortgage company in the world that mails any of you in this room back 37 cents. You don't get it until February or April, or some as late as October if you file an extension. You don't get it until you file your tax return. So pardon the pun, as your mortgage company, I have your entire dollar. Thank you very much. I'm laughing all the way to the bank. And then I have the gall to ask you if you know any other suckers, nice people who could use a mortgage, because we're interested in loaning them $248,000 and making $500 back. So it isn't the write-off you think. So I couldn't get it through my thick noggin here. Why wouldn't I earn the $1, John, pay the 37 cents in taxes, and I keep the 63 cents? So I couldn't get it through my thick noggin. Then Rick Edelman, who's huge, written books, been on public TV, over in Fairfax, Virginia, said, back in 08 and 09, when the market took in the shorts and people were struggling, run out and get a home equity loan while you can. Because if you lose your job, you'll have an access to capital. And he said, you'll need that because if you have to pay medical, food, or utilities, you'll have a source of money. And I sat there, John, and said, really? He puts that in the Annapolis Capital newspaper, and he's telling people you have 3 bills, medical, food, and utilities. Well, if I lose my job and I have a home equity loan and I've taken money out, don't I have 4 bills now? I now have to pay a home equity loan I have to pay medical, food, and utilities. So I couldn't figure out, John, where Rick was right with 4 bills versus 3 bills. So I didn't understand that strategy of running out and getting a home equity line of credit so that I can tap it if I lose my job. I always thought 3 bills was less than 4 bills. And so I kind of like not having a mortgage. I walk around the house like this, John. I don't know a nickel to anybody. I can work at Mickey D's and make my real estate taxes if I don't want to work anymore. So I kind of like not having a mortgage. I don't get where it's a tax write-off. So I tell folks, if you want to liven up a cocktail party or a summer picnic, just say these words at either of those. I'm thinking of paying off my mortgage. You will get a camp of people. Smartest thing you can do, you'll get a camp over here, go, you're an idiot. Don't pay off the mortgage. It's a great write-off. So I don't get it. Now, if you're moving, that's an entirely different set of circumstances. You may be trying to leverage that house and hope that it appreciates in value. You owe X versus Y, like my gal Nalini, and you're hoping to use the mortgage for a partial write-off. Fine, that's a whole different strategy. I caveated my argument with, if you know you're staying in that house the rest of your life. And I have had numerous people come in, don't know if I saved them, who have said to me they don't understand the merits of having a mortgage. Why have a mortgage in retirement? I don't know about you, John. I'd rather be on the plane with Patty and say, we got to pay the real estate taxes in September and December. I'd rather worry about that than not that you make the mortgage payment. And then I get asked, what about a 15-year versus a 30? So I ran them. I ran a 3 1/4 15 versus a 4 30. The savings on $200,000 was $90,780 in the difference. Now, I'm not telling you run out and get a 15-year mortgage. That's not my point. What I am saying is, if you can afford it without any flies in the ointment or glitches, then obviously 15 will save you $9,780. What about, Dave, if I have a 30 and I pay twice or I send an extra principal? Whatever floats your boat. All I can tell you is from my side of the desk in 34 plus years, I've never had anybody yet complain to me who is my client who is debt free. I don't have them complain. Certainly about a mortgage. They might complain about taxes, so what else is new? You're going to pay them. Be glad you're earning the money to pay them. So I don't get where a mortgage is a write-off. Am I making sense? Any questions on that? Yes, no? None? I spoke English? All right, any other questions you have? Because it's about quarter 4. Any other questions? Yes, no? Yes, John.
For FERS employees, can you talk for a minute about the Social Security supplemental if you went at your MRA, the amount of money that's part of that?
All right, John asked me to talk about once I attain minimum retirement age and the Social Security supplement. So if my MRA is 57, I'm going to get the supplement to 62. Do you know, John, that was an agreement that was crafted at the 11th hour? The senator from Van Hollen, if you've ever heard of Senator Van Hollen, he crafted the agreement when Mr. Obama was on Air Force One. That was going to go away, John, and they kept it in exchange for the newest FERS employees over there on their new hiring orientation today, paying in, 4.4% of their pay to the system. So in exchange for that increase to new hirees, they left in the supplement. And then, John, you get this in my office. I got a printout of my Social Security statement. So, Dave, my supplement should approximate what Social Security is sending me. So all I do, John, in the office is I say, were you working back here in 1972 at CMS? Well, no, I was in high school. Well, you can't take your Social Security statement and approximate your supplement. There's a formula I have in the office. If you want to approximate it, I can. And that's a gift, so pray that's a gift that keeps on giving and that doesn't come up for the next negotiations to go away. When Ryan and I run our numbers in this guy, John, I never include it. Because were I to include it, and I give you this, John, and you walk out of my office, if it goes away, someday you're coming back to me, John, and you're doing this. You know these numbers you ran? They're not worth 2 cents because you have Social Security supplement here as a cash inflow and it's gone. So this is worthless to me. So I do worst case scenario when I run numbers. I use a COLA of 1%. That's it. And I've had arguments that if inflation returns with a vengeance, John, to 4%, we're going to get 4% COLAs. And all I say to everybody in my office is, do you read the Federal Diary column in the Metro section of the Washington Post? I don't think Congress is very sympathetic to COLAs right now. So I wouldn't count on it. So I try and run a worst case scenario. I don't include the supplement. If it's there, it's what? Gravy. Gravy. I wouldn't put it in my planning. It's just icing on the cake if it's there. But I have a different philosophy. It's all me. I mean, the American Indians had a great statement. The best helping hand they ever got was at the end of their own arm, is their statement. I think it's great. So I'm not relying on anything. Then I get the young people, John, who come in and say, Social Security won't be here. Oh, yeah, it will. There's lots of things we can do. Means test it. We can make it 100% subject to tax like Medicare. We don't care what you earn. You're going to pay taxes on it. We can increase the age, 72, 75. There's all sorts of permutations we can do to make Social Security survive. So I don't buy the young folks' argument. It's not going to be here. I'm not counting on it. I don't buy that. We're going to pay for it. Okay? Any other questions? Thanks for coming. I'll be here if you have questions or personal topics. Thank you. Thank you. It's a shame it's not more crowded. There should be more people here.